Yes, welcome everybody on YouTube. All right, I'm gonna
Welcome
get
to
this.
the 151st Kentucky Derby review and our Woodford Reserve barrel bottle breakdown that we're going to do. And I believe CT might be coming on and making us an Old Forester rye whiskey, mint and julep.
Hopefully.
If not, I got some barrel strength single barrel Old Forester rye whiskey. I got a little bit poured up. I'll sip on it after we do the barrel bottle breakdown.
There we go. All right, that's running. I gotta just, you know what I gotta do now? I gotta check to make sure. And enthusiast. That's what you're talking about right there, Walker. Why is my light on? Oh my God. Let's turn that off.
The technical difficulties of.
Let's see. No? Are we recording? We are recording. Yes. And it's not on automatically. Woo! All right. Now let's see. I got to check out, and we will monitor YouTube. We will monitor the YouTube once we get going. I got to do this right here to monitor the YouTube. All right. I got to make sure sound's working. I believe my microphone is on. Here we go. We'll see. We're checking in. I was just there. Here we are. Why am I not in the picture? That makes no sense that I am not in the picture. All right. So I got to do this a little bit better. I got to
tighten up there.
I got to make sure
tighten up there,
the sound's working.
Why am I not in the
picture? It's working. There we go. And I will have to back that off to get me in the picture. I mean, I look at it and there's the seat. All right, let's see. Back off. There we go. All right. You're in the picture. I'm in the picture. Let's hopefully it does it this time. I'm going to wait for me to come back in, but hopefully this will be it. I'm pretty sure I'm in it now. We'll see. I'm watching, checking it out. It does it this time. I'm going to wait for me to come back in, but hopefully this will be it. I'm pretty sure I'm in it now. We'll see. I'm watching. I'm half in it. I'm just half in. All right.
What do you got going on there?
I gotta back it off. Welcome everybody to the podcast. There. How about that? And we'll do. I'm half in it. Just half in. Sorry, guys.
What do you got going on there?
I gotta back it off. Welcome. All right, there we go. I'm gonna do that should have done it. If that doesn't do it, I don't know what will. I probably have to lean forward. Now I've got all of you, Nash. That did it. All right. Hopefully that'll be it for everybody on YouTube. There we go. I'm ready. I'm going to do the comment. Welcome everybody on YouTube. Thanks for joining in. We monitor comments. Make sure you tell us where you're from and what you're sipping on tonight. Hope you enjoy the podcast. There we go. We have some people. I'll be monitoring it. We're waiting for CT, and we're waiting for Nash. Are you almost done there, Nash?
About.
All right. And that's just bizarre. Let's get that. There we go. ready to monitor. Welcome to our Kentucky Derby. It's the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, but this is our 4th running of our Kentucky Derby podcast, which seriously was motivated by Super Nash. There's no doubt about it. And
Absolutely.
let me see. I think that's enough. There's enough there. We will be talking about bourbon and its association with the Kentucky Derby. There's
specifically Woodford Reserve and Old Forester rye whiskey.
Well, that's what it is currently, and we will be doing a lot of fun stuff with Woodford Reserve and the Old Forester as we go through. But I have a history on pretty much everything. Although Brown and Foreman initially, when they got into it, it was the early times is what they were pushing. Early times, and then they've since sold that brand to Buffalo Trace. What you got going there?
I'm looking. Oh yeah, there it is. Because I got a commemorative Jim Beam decanter.
That was from the Derby.
From the Derby. From the Derby. The Derby.
Did I just call it the Derby?
I believe you did.
The Bourbon Derby. The Derby.
Bourbon Derby.
Tomorrow's the Oaks, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct in that.
Which is that
today was Derby.
Is what?
Today was called Derby.
Well, then I think I wasn't back off. Derby, having some Burby on the day of the Derby.
Yeah, you wasn't far off.
Well, right now, the current sponsor is Brown and Foreman with Woodford Reserve. That is the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby. But the official drink of the Kentucky Derby is a mint julep made with Old Forester. So that's where we're on, John. Racing night. Anything racing, right, Nash? Yep, anything racing. That's for sure.
That's anything racing.
Yes, and this should be a fun podcast tonight. As soon as you're done sharing, we'll give it another couple minutes too to see if CT does jump in. I hope he jumps if we're got to get it going in a couple minutes. But as soon as we get that going, but tonight I've got for my bottle is my first ever bottle of Woodford Reserve. Everybody on YouTube and Facebook, you can see that. This was in 2019 when I went and did the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. I went on a bus tour on the Friday. I had been there I got there the previous Thursday. I was there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. And then I spent Monday through the next Saturday doing different events and seeing different distilleries to fill out the whole Kentucky Bourbon Trail. I did 972 miles of the trail, and we stopped on the bus tour that we went on. Our last stop was Woodford Reserve. We went to Wild Turkey, Four Roses, and Woodford Reserve. It was fantastic. And this bottle was engraved while I was there because I was there, and it says the private stock of Jeff Mueller, September 27th, 2019. Ooh, nice bottle.
It's full too. Look, the tack strip on it.
Ooh.
I bet this tastes so good.
Oh, I wonder. In honor of the 151st, because I know we're not going to be around for the 175th.
This is Churchill Downs 1971 commemorative bottle.
That's cool. So 71, 81, 91, 2001, 11, 21, That's
was the not.
50.
It was the 96 Kentucky Derby.
That's what it actually says, right?
Yeah, this was, and Dust Commander was the winner, and it was run on 2nd of May, 1970.
Well, we have our winners too that we're going to go over tonight, so that can happen. But
Actually, oh no, this is the night for the 97th run for the Roses,
okay,
which was run 1st of May, 1971. And I just gave you the information. Dust Commander was the winner of the 96 in 1970.
yeah, they didn't know who won it when they made that bottle. Just like there's so many bottles that got released. One of my favorite bottles that got released, as you know, was the Larkin bottle. I think it's called Rosewater Bourbon. And if I'm not mistaken, me and you and Whiskey were in that bottle with Greg Keeley. And we got to taste the bottle of the barrel with the rose petals in it, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And that is being released for this running of the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, wow.
Kentucky Derby.
Kentucky Derby?
Yeah, the Kentucky Derby.
Derby.
The Bourbon Derby. Yes, that's it.
Bourbon
I'm
Derby.
just having a field day. I've got an old Forster mint julep that I picked up when Walt Walker's. Yeah, I saw those mint juleps everywhere. But I was talking to my guy at our liquor store, and he said the mint juleps sold out, and all did the Woodford Derby bottles. So realistically, I can sense there's a total change in the market right now. So what I want to do though is now that you've shared it, let's talk about our sponsors before we get started. The first,
you sipping on anything like a pre-pour?
I did not.
I just happen to be have my special Kentucky Derby.
You mean this, like this right here? I think our wives bought these at the same time. These are not my glasses. We did some hand washing. We pulled them out of the cabinet. Yeah. She washed them by hand because there's been no bourbon in these for a year since the last Derby. And but no, I am not sipping on anything. I want to crack this
Actually,
stuff. I'm cracking this though, courtesy of Randy Ford.
The 150th running of the Derby bottle right here.
Okay, but if I'm going to say something, I had such an awesome day. Let's get into this, but I am going to have a pre-pour in my Scotchy Bourbon Boys Glencairn that I have my Glencairn glass holder. I'll open that up. It holds two. This case holds 2 Glencairns. I'm going to pull out my Scotchy Bourbon Boy Glencairn and have a pre-pour of Whiskey Thief that I got the last time I was there. I was talking to Walter Zausch because as a sponsor, we know the owner. We know Hannah. We know Derek Spraveri. We know Kelly Tennille. We know pretty much Hannah Malajo. Can you say it? Can you say it? We just refer to her as Hannah. And so Whiskey Thief is such a great experience because of the people that are there. There's actually, lately I've been going down, I have some videos of her, and she's the manager, and she works directly with Walter. And I keep not remembering her name, but I have to put her in the memory bank too, because the people there are so spectacular. But Whiskey Thief Distilling Company, with their 2 locations, their distillery is located on Three Boys Farm in Frankfort, Kentucky. The experience there is, for the price of admission, you get the tour, you get to see their pot still, you get to see fermentation, you get to see distillation, and then you go over and you get to thief from 5 barrels, a barrel pick all day, every day at Whiskey Thief Distilling Company out at Three Boys Farms. But they also have their tasting room in Louisville, in the New Lou area. Brand new, opened, I want to say now since it was opening probably since October, like November. We've been there a couple times. Fantastic. They just brought that experience to a bar setting. They've got a full bar making drinks, and they have the barrel pick all day, every day, along with live music, relaxing setting, fantastic. Either place, you won't go wrong. Whiskey Thief Distillery in Distilling Company in Louisville and Frankfort, Kentucky. And
That's
their
right.
motto is Super Nash.
What? Hold on a second.
What is Whiskey? What Whiskey Thief's motto is? Our motto.
Uncut and unfiltered.
There you go. So I'm going to have a little sip of this. Walter actually thiefed this for me last time.
I like to also say that it's like having a barrel pick every day whenever you visit any one of their places.
Barrel pick all day, every day.
All day, every day. That's right.
That one keeps getting better and better. All right, Middle West Spirits. Tonight I have the wheat whiskey there. This Michelin brand with their cask strength. They are in 48 states, including South Carolina. Ooh, I love the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Lazy Susan you got there. That's awesome.
I gave that to my wife for Christmas a few years back. About 4 years ago.
That's like a rigged present right there. You gave it to your wife. Yeah, she's using it right now.
Well, I got mine because she saw mine hanging on the wall in there. And so she said, I would like to have one of those, but I want a Lazy Susan made out of it. So I called up our good friend and had one made, and he shipped it to me. And then I put the Lazy Susan little contraption on the bottom of it.
That friend would be, oh, come on.
That's why the name eluded me right quick, but
oh my God, he did mine too initially.
Did yours, yes, and
picked it up at the 2021. Remember, we picked that one up at the 2021 Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and you picked up yours too.
Yep.
But this is Middle West Spirits, our other sponsor. They are out of Columbus, Ohio. They just finished their. I have to get the statistics on it, but their massive brand new distillery. It is up there with the big boys, but it's the biggest distillery, obviously, in the state of Ohio. It is a Kentucky distillery experience in the state of Ohio. And then also they have their craft distillery still open with their service bar restaurant. Fantastic food and dining, great tour experience. You got to check out Middle West Spirits and their Michelin line of bourbons and whiskeys. This is the wheat whiskey right here, cask strength. This is fantastic. Right now, wherever you go, including South Carolina, Super Nash can go to his local liquor store. It's on the shelf in all 48 states. It's basically not on the shelf in Alaska and Hawaii when you say 48 states, right? Then we've got here our Lillian Sinclair, the Spirit of French Lick. They have a fantastic line. Alan Bishop, a friend of the podcast, was the master distiller there up until March of 2024. This one that you have right here was the last barrel pick he did with us, the Lillian Sinclair, plus he did a William Dalton. So if you're interested in our barrel picks, give a contact to me. I can get you
Super Nash
or Super Nash. We can get you set up with whatever you need. But the Spirit of French Lick is still producing. I'm going to be stopping down there to see what's going on. But they have 8 years of Alan Bishop's whiskeys and bourbons and brandies and everything that's all aging down there. They're releasing it, and it's something that you got to check out, because if you want some of his age stuff, he's now at Old Homestead, but at Old Homestead, he's just starting to distill, and there you can pick up his stuff there from the gift shop. Check out the Spirits of French Lick and French Lick.
Kind of wondering about the Whiskey Witch.
But I'm going to tell you, You see, this is why you have to come up March 9th, 10th, and 11th, because I'm going there.
I can.
I'm going to
I'm
meet with
working.
Laureline, and I'm going to find out everything. Do you want me to just, while I'm there, just put you on the phone with her so you can ask her questions?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, just do a Zoom meeting while you're there.
Yeah, and then I'll make sure that I drink right from about 4 or 5 Allen's barrels. I won't even get a glass. It'll just be right into my mouth.
Like you hadn't done that before.
No, not at all. All right, and then Rosewood Bourbons and Rye. Make sure you check out. If you see that, it is the whiskey and bourbon that Andy Dufresne from the movie Shawshank Redemption. That is the bottle that his thumbprint was on while he was outside and put him in jail because they were able to fingerprint a Rosewood Bourbon and Rye broken bottle that he was drinking from when he was outside the house when everything was happening.
Rosewood Bourbon, he's doing some great stuff down there in Kentucky. I mean Texas.
Yeah, I mean he's distilling
bourbon.
Yeah, he's
aging the barrels, in that hot Texas heat and all, and it's just giving it some great flavor. So
finishes
if you see a bottle out there on the shelves, pick it up. You won't go wrong.
There's the Kentuckian and the Indian, and both of them are fantastic, and they all got driven down there 900 miles, and then now they age a little bit further, and what that does to the whiskey is actually quite pleasing. And then also Alan Bishop, if you have Ghost, you have everything in one piece at a time distilling interested. One piece at a time distilling industry institute. Thank you. Oh my god. One piece at a time distilling institute on YouTube. One piece at a time distilling institute is a great, if you're interested in distilling, it's a great thing for beginners, intermediate. He answers people's questions consistently. He puts out videos. Fantastic distilling information YouTube channel. And then also, if you have Ghosts, you have everything. That podcast is fantastic. It's all about the ghosts in the spirits industry. That's all you need to know. He's got people from the industry talking about their experiences. Roxy and I were both on it also, and Dimmick's been on it. There's just the guests. I know that now Old Carter Distillery's master distiller, Ben Eves has been on it. I've heard many of the episodes. Fantastic. You got to check it out. If you have Ghosts, you have everything. And he's also at the Old Homestead Distillery. He just sent me an actual ad for Old Homestead Distillery. We got to talk about that, but that was pretty interesting. Hey, Ricky Edwards. And then tonight we'll get to the Old Louisville Whiskey Company as soon as we can, but we've waited long enough. CT doesn't seem to be gonna be joining us too. So we'll get this podcast on the road. You'll have about a 30-second, 44-second delay, and then you'll hear our theme song, and we'll get started. All right? Here we go, everybody.
Drinking bourbon, sipping on some scotch. We give it a while, it's sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew. Never talk something, but we're telling the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon boys.
Making some noise.
Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon boys. We really have fun and we hope you enjoy. We really have fun.
All right. Welcome
All
back
right.
to another
Yes.
podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Woo!
Yeah.
I'm pumped up today. We've got Super
Dude.
Nash joining us. Hey, Super Nash.
In the house.
This is Thursday, May 1st. We don't always time date them, but we can this time because this is the Thursday before Derby, before the Kentucky Derby. And all this week has been Derby week in Kentucky. So me and Super Nash have been seeing posts from everyone. I know that even though CT isn't here yet, he might stop in real quick to make him in Jubilant. He might not, but he is headed down tomorrow for all the fun and adventure on a Friday before the Saturday Kentucky Derby. Although there's one thing that is obvious so far, and I don't see a way out of it. It looks like you're going to need some umbrellas and you're going to need your boots because it's going to be muddy and there's going to be rain, but that doesn't stop the Kentucky Derby. It never has, right?
Nope, it sure doesn't.
The only thing that will delay it is lightning and thunder.
The only thing that will affect is how the horses run.
Yep, for sure. And so tonight is our Kentucky Derby podcast. It's the fourth one. This is Super Nash initially. I really didn't know too much about the Kentucky Derby. So when we first started, the first year we did not do one. But the second year, which would have been the first year was 2020. So 2021 we did one. And we did one in 2022, but we skipped 2023 and we did one in 2024 and 2025. We might have skipped 2022, I think. We've done 23, 24, and 25. But we skipped the 22 one. And I don't know why.
Skipped the 22.
I might have been someplace. You never know. And I have definitely.
No, we didn't, because this one was May 7th, 2022. I'm looking at the side of the bottle.
Yeah, but we skipped it because you might have bought it. But I went through today.
I'm pretty sure we did it in 22.
Okay, so then we skipped 2023?
Yeah, we skipped 2023 because that's the bottle that I don't have.
Yeah, that's probably you were getting married or something, so we just skipped it.
I was probably at the beach.
I could have been sick too. You don't. Yeah, you might have been. That was when you were just. That was the year you were going wild.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. Yes. Anyways.
Or maybe it was.
Yeah. Anyways.
Who knows?
We're www.
That's history.
Yeah. We're dealing in current times, and we're www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Find out all about us. Read our bios. I need bios from CT. He's got to send me a bio. Ours are up there, but CT has to send me a bio. I've asked Whiskey also, but CT definitely. We need to get that bio up on the website. But also, we've got Glen Cairns, we've got Scotchy Bourbon Boy t-shirts, and
I was about to say pull down, but
no, you got your other one. So check it out for the merchandise. Check it out for the information. Find the podcast, listen to past episodes, and enjoy that particular website. And then also remember, we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, and also all the major podcast formats, including and mainly Apple, iHeart, and Spotify. But no matter how you watch us or listen to us, remember to always like, listen, comment, subscribe, and leave good feedback. And we love all your support. So that allows us to get into a little bit of news right now. I was on the phone today, honestly.
I was trying to give you some news.
Some breaking news. Well, there's a lot of different things that I've been learning about what's been going on, and there's a lot of stuff. And we don't break controversial anything. So, I've been, like I said, the news is I've been hearing a lot of rumors and that type of stuff. But one of the cool things of rumors, it's like there's so much happening that. In the bourbon world, and the market seems to completely be coming back. Everything that you are hearing now. I just wanted to talk about this scenario here. When people talk about the bourbon industry last year, and they were talking about how that we're headed to a glut and that the bourbon boom is over. Okay. So what everybody doesn't just quite grasp, there were so many people in the writers talking about how and people that I would talk to, and they're acting like it's a bad thing. I'm like, if you're a bourbon drinker, it's probably the greatest thing that could ever happen.
Absolutely.
One, you have all these
more product.
There's going to be more product with
possibly lower prices.
Well, not possibly. When it comes to the regular standard product, it's going to be, because they have enough and they need to lower the price to make you want to go drink it. But two, they're also going to come up with this aged whiskey stock that they might not be selling as much as what they thought. Not only might it lower the price, but they might come up with different expressions and special bottles. I mean, during the last time whiskey went to hell, which was the 70s and the early 80s, the decanters that went out were, and that's a decanter right there. It's ceramic. It's made.
It's porcelain.
Porcelain decanters, ceramic, whatever. But the thing is those were cheap. Those weren't expensive on the shelf. It wasn't like you were buying. They were getting you to buy the whiskey they had. It was like you were getting a free decanter. It wasn't that much different than their actual bottle. I mean, when you look at those prices, it's crazy. So it's the same thing. If this happened, which I don't think I think it was a whiskey pause. Everybody was pausing. It was an election year and everything. But right now,
there's another thing I wanted to talk about, and that's because last year was an election year. A lot of people were holding on to their money because they were it was an unstable time and wasn't quite sure as to what was going to happen and all. So that's another thing that contributed to what everybody was calling the whiskey glut.
Yeah, and I think it might have. There's an aspect I really felt. The whole overall feeling that I get from people and their ability and willingness to buy bottles, like last year, they didn't want to go. They were saving up money because they didn't want to go to Kentucky Bourbon Festival. They're like, I need to do this. I need to go on a family vacation. This year, that wasn't the case. It was like, bam. Everybody, the bus tour sold out. The Bourbon Festival sold out in 3 days. It sells out normally in August. I mean, you just get a difference of the whole attitude of what this year is going to be, and people are on board, and we're excited. And realistically, the season's really kicked off. In March, we got a Booker's, which I always feel, but it's the Kentucky Derby that just kicks off the bourbon season. I mean, Woodford Reserve is going to be on TV all day. I mean, it's going to make this whiskey, which there's no whatever, you have the 3 Derby bottles there with the paintings on them, but it's still the exact same whiskey. It's still Woodford Reserve in there. It's not anything special. It's the same whiskey. It's not a special batch.
Something else that I wanted to say before you got into that too was the first 3 months of this year. Look at all the releases that all the distilleries did. I mean, look at, like, just for one, Buffalo Trace. They actually sold, barrel proof and single barrels, and in their gift shop, and also the 4 grain. They released some 4 grain that they had stock of. I mean, there was just tons and tons of bottles. The Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. It seems like there was more bottles released across the states than ever before this year.
Well, we are getting into the fact that they're trying to meet demand. And they're making more whiskey. And I really feel, just for instance, as well as I do, last Saturday, my wife was having a thing. And normally there's a line at the Giant Eagle. I went to get donuts because I was out of the line. And it was 8:30. And there was 2 people in the line. And I knew that they had Eagle Rare and I heard Taylor, and then they also had a Blanton's, and they also had a very old Barton, okay? But there was only 2 people in line at 8:30. The one woman said she had been there since 5, but nobody else was in line. And I looked in and I saw 3 cases of Taylor. And I'm like, damn. So I went down and got stuck in traffic, and I was trying to get back. I got back about 9:20, walked in, and they still had a case and a half of Taylor left. And they asked me if I wanted another one. And when he asked me if he wanted another one, my jaw dropped. That just means it doesn't mean that people aren't buying it. It means it's more available and people have it. And that's what you're going to see more and more of, I think.
Yeah.
I bought 2.
I agree.
One for you, one for me. One for you, one for me.
One for me.
Yes. Anyways, all right. So that brings us to what we're going to talk about. The Kentucky Derby.
The 151st running of the Kentucky Derby. And this just happens to be the Woodford Reserve Derby bottle release with the annual painting that they've been doing for the last,
Now turn that sideways. Is that the standard? Yeah, that's the standard thin bottle like I got right here, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Now, I wonder if there's one day that they're going to put a Derby.
And yours is 90.4 proof, right?
Yeah, 90 point. It's
standard Woodford Reserve. Yeah, 90.4.
I'm hoping one of these days they stick it on one of these bottles and they do a Derby batch like this. Why not? Like a foolproof, full cast strength Derby bottle on one of their special bottles. That would be nice. Now,
that would be awesome.
But they do release at the Kentucky Derby. The Kentucky Derby. I just keep wanting to say Burby. I just like that.
These are also all these 3 of these bottles, Derby bottles, and the Woodford Reserve. They're also 1 liter bottles, so they're not 750 milliliters.
They're also 1 liter. Yes, yeah. You could get that on both. Yes, I actually think this Woodford is a 1 liter. Nope, this is 750. No, this one's a 750. All right, so what I wanted to say was,
did you say that yours was a 750.
This one?
Yeah,
it says 750.
Okay.
Yeah, I just looked at it.
All the Derby bottles are 1 liters.
Okay, right. So I'm just going to finish up my whiskey thief here.
Just to be correct, I had to look at them all.
And to be correct, he puts Post-it notes on them all.
I ain't got no Post-it notes on the back.
All right, so
I wish I did.
When you go down to Kentucky at this time of year, even actually any time of year, especially Bardstown and Louisville, the Kentucky Derby is so much a part of the heartbeat of the cities.
Well, yeah. Louisville comes alive for about a week and a half,
and it's for the world all for a minute.
Yeah, because I mean, there are so many people that they're not really into horse racing, but for that one day on Saturday,
everybody dresses up.
Millions of people across the nation that are tuning into it just because it's such a spectacle to watch.
It used to be initially, and when it started, people would dress up fancy for this. It was a fancy event. It showcases the best horses. It's the first of the first race of the Triple Crown, and it highlights all of the whole year of what all the owners of the horses have done, and train, and all the training that went on. Let's see, 091. Okay, there we go. And I just wanted to, let's see, history. It says the origins of of Kentucky bourbon. All right, early days. Okay, so the Kentucky Derby was founded by Meriwether Lewis Clark Jr. I assume that's Lewis Clark, the Lewis Clark, right?
Might
I'm
be.
gonna think,
I can't.
in 1875, inspired by his trip to the Epsom Derby in England. The inaugural race took place at Churchill Downs and attracted around 10,000 spectators. The Derby, originally a 1.5-mile race, was shortened to 1.25 miles in 1896. So there you go. That's kind of like the start of it, right? And this is the 151st running. There's been the history of horse racing is generalized, but then it's immortalized by some of the horses when the sport became, when television became prominent and they could start televising this race, this minute of, high intensity across the United States and the world. And then that's when the notoriety of the Derby has really taken off. Now, I would say currently, the amount of people who watch and get into it, they have done a really good job of modernizing it into the television. The television aspect of this day, you can participate. TV, just like it has for baseball and what it does for football, it's done what it needs to do for horse racing. And especially the Kentucky Derby. I mean, everything about it is just perfection, right?
You want me to give you a little bit about this Woodford Reserve bottle, the Derby bottle?
Sure.
Excuse me. All right, the Woodford Reserve Kentucky Derby bottle is a popular limited edition bourbon known for its rich, complex flavor profile and unique artwork. Each year, the distillery collaborates with a different artist to create a unique label design for the Derby bottle, making it a sought-after collectible for bourbon and racing fans. The bourbon itself is the same as the standard Woodford Reserve Distiller Select, but the commemorative label makes it a special edition.
So, the part of this whiskey right here is when you go to Woodford Reserve, and I have to throw out to Stacy and Randy for letting me be a part. I love Woodford Double Oak. It's one of my favorite shelf bourbons, reasonably priced for what it is, and I love the flavor profile and everything. So this year I got to go on the Kentucky Bourbon Festival pick of the batch of Woodford Double Oak that they were going to receive for the festival. And quite honestly, when we were there, one of the things you see is the giant pot stills that Woodford is made on. But it's one of the most unique blends in whiskey because it's a combination of columns distilled whiskey that they distill at the Brown and Forman distillery in Louisville, and the pot distilled whiskey that they distill at Woodford Reserve, and they make the blend the two together. And quite frankly, over the years, I really have found, what would you say? What's he drinking? Woodford Double Oak store pick as you speak. That's John Ritt. I found that I like the blend between the pot still and, I mean, those pot stills are giant, right? And speaking of the artwork there, Super Dash, let me share the screen real quick. I did a dive on the internet to show some of the different bottles Here we go. Share. Everybody, I'll pull this. Oh my God, did that really just happen? I don't want to do that. I wanted to do this. All right, we'll pull this over. You can see all the different bottles, but this one right, oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's go back here. All right. I think, well, that's full screen, but you can't see it. I don't know how to get that. All right, let's see what happens when I do this. That is like the worst thing that just could have happened, to go full screen. I didn't want it to go full screen. Let's see. I don't even know how to get out of it. All right, there we go. Oh, it did it again.
While you're doing that, I'm going to give you the mash bill. The mash bill
All
is
right.
72% corn, 18% rye, and 10% malted barley. And usually it's undisclosed, but it's estimated between 6 and 8 years
Yeah,
as the age of it.
right. And you can see this is one of the artworks that went on the bottle. Here's this bottle. So over the years,
That one was from the 151st,
50th.
the 150th last year's.
Yep. And then you've got the one, I believe you have this one, right? From 2020. This is this year's, correct?
Yes, that's the 151st. And then I also have this one from the 149th.
Let's see what this one is. Is that, do you,
The 148th is what I have.
okay, do you see that one there?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, and it's just like really unique on the different, each one. There's the behind the 20th anniversary of Woodford Derby bottle. So that's that one there. And so I'll get off share screen right here. Stop sharing and we'll go back here. So one of the things about like this is a hand painted glass that was at what's the liquors, not Evergreen Liquor. We were there for the first time, and our wives loved these glasses, and they went on a day trip between the women, and
Day trip shopping spree.
yeah, and they came back with these
while
glasses.
we were doing whiskey stuff.
My luck for Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and or for the Kentucky Derby, and that it's really kind of cool to have these glasses. They're hand painted, and the same thing with the bottles. They actually sell bottles, but on they do release some high end, very expensive bottles on the week of Kentucky, the Kentucky Derby at the Woodford Distillery.
Yes.
When we were learning about the tour, I mean, you're talking, I believe it's like a $6,700 bottle of Woodford Reserve, and it's all special, and there's only 4 or 5 of them. I mean, they do that for the Kentucky Derby, and I believe they did it again. So it's just like, and I believe they do it for charity to some extent. So it's kind of a cool thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe that's why CT's going down tomorrow, is for all the releases. I think Buffalo Trace does their annual release of the Blanton's Kentucky Derby.
I don't know how they're doing that this year. I don't know how.
They've got a gift shop that's open, and so they will be doing it again. I'm pretty sure. But I hadn't heard anybody saying that they're not.
The hard part about it is that you have to have reservation. You have to actually book it online to even be let in. That's how they're keeping the crowds down.
Yeah.
So the other aspect is that
in Woodford Reserve, like I said, they're releasing their stuff at the distillery too. And you know, Woodford Reserve is one of CT's favorites to go to.
Yes, for sure. So the other aspect is, before Woodford Reserve, which is a fairly new brand by Brown and Forman, the brand before of the Kentucky Bourbon Festival was Old Forester. So for the longest time, Old Forester was the one that was the brand for the Kentucky Derby. And then right now, Old Forester is being used to be the the bourbon of the mint julep that is the drink of the Derby. I mean, the only time most people drink mint juleps it will be Saturday. They
Yep.
sell a lot of mint juleps on Saturday.
And they usually make it with the Old Forester rye whiskey. What I was just showing there was the Old Forester single barrel strength rye whiskey
Yeah.
that they came out with, because a lot of people were saying that since they used it so much in the mint juleps, why don't they do a barrel strength single barrel? And so that's why they came out with this.
Right. But now, before we get into let's go over the field of horses. And before we get into the old Louisville barrel bottle breakdown of Woodford Reserve Derby bottle, I would like to, the race is the race, and the post positions have been set. And
You got a share screen. Are you going to share the post positions?
I have it up on. I suppose. I don't think anybody's going to see. I didn't do it on the share screen because I didn't have time. I just have it up on my. But I think
I got it up on my phone here. So I mean, you can read the first. You can read the first 10. I'll read the second 10.
Right. There's 20 positions. Citizen Bull is in the first position. Then
give his odds while you're doing it.
Oh, you're gonna make me give odds, so I can do that. I will.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. Why did it do that? All right, let's see. There it is. Post position. Call it up. Nope, that didn't help. All right, you're asking is odds going to be on this one? All right, right now, number one, China Bull is 20 to 1.
Bull.
Citizen Bull. Sorry. The Neoequus. Is that how you say it? Neoequus?
Neoequus
is 30 to 1. Final Gambit is 30 to 1. Rodriguez 4, 12 to 1. 5, American Promise 30 to 1. Admire Daytona 30 to 1. Luxor Cafe 15 to 1. Journalism 3 to 1. Burnham Square 12 to 1. And Grande is 20 to 1.
And before I read the second 10 starting gates, there was only 3 horses with less than 10 to 1 odds in this race. Every other horse is above 10 to 1 odds.
And that really changed once the weather forecast started to say that it's going to be rainy. And we are talking about, I think Friday, you're talking some huge downpours, and getting that racetrack ready is going to be a challenge. And then
they always rise to the occasion. And that ground crew there, which our friend Randy Pross has talked about before, they're exceptional in how they get that track ready, because they continually do it all week long, because they're running races every day, and probably up to 10 races a day.
Yeah.
And
they ran races today. They're running races tomorrow, and that one is going to be interesting to see, because that's the forecast for that is intense. We're talking.
All right. For the next 11 through 20 starting gates, in the 11th gate, you got Flying Mohawk at 30 to 1 odds. 12th gate is East Avenue at 20 to 1 odds. 13th gate is Publisher at 20 to 1 odds. In the 14th gate, you have Tistastic at 20 to 1 odds. 15th gate, Render Judgment, 30 to 1 odds. At 16th gate, you have Coal Battle, 30 to 1 odds. In the 17th gate, you have Sandman, 6 to 1 odds. 18th gate, you have Sovereignty, Sovereignty.
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty. Yeah, that's what I said. What'd you hear?
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty at 5-1 odds. And in 19th gate, you have Chunk of Gold, 31 odds, 30-1. And in the 20th gate, final starting position, you have Owen Almighty at 30-1 odds.
There you go. So there is the field. Now, we're going to pick our picks in the end, but we're going to first do the old Louisville. We're going to do the old Louisville Whiskey Company barrel bottle breakdown.
I say we do our picks now.
Nope, we're going to do it after.
While we're talking about the horses.
No, we're going to keep them waiting to see what our picks are.
Okay.
This is marketing here.
All right, I'll take that paper down so nobody can be spying on it.
All right, so we have the old Louisville Whiskey Company barrel bottle breakdown. Make sure you stop in and say hi to Amin in Louisville, Kentucky, over at the old Louisville Whiskey Company. He's got a great experience. He's got great whiskey, and definitely, if you're in the area, get a hold of him, and a stop there is well worth it.
Absolutely, because you'll be tasting straight from the barrel, and you can pick up a bottle of what he's already got bottled up. So you can't go wrong at Old Louisville Whiskey Company.
All right, so our old Louisville Whiskey Company barrel bottle breakdown scale is based off of 4 categories: the nose, the body, the taste, the finish. You can give up to 4 knocks for the nose and the body, and up to 5 knocks for the taste and the finish. But if one of the categories is exceptional, you can give it, like I did on Tuesday to the old Carter. The nose on that was fantastic. I wanted to make sure.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, you missed it. All right.
You barrel bottle. You said Old Carter.
Old Taylor. I'm sorry. Old Taylor. Look at, you know who's that's for.
Oh, it's got to be me.
Uh-huh.
Gotta be me.
I did the barrel bottle breakdown of Old Taylor, but that's left, and the nose got a but up. So it actually pulled an 18 of 18, 18 out of 18 in the end. That was a fantastic whiskey. Now, I'm all ready.
I'm ready when you are.
I am tasting in this special tasting glass. This is the tasting glass of the Bourbon Trail. This glass was developed by Jimmy Russell, I believe Fred No, and everybody got together to get a tasting glass that would be for bourbon. And this is the type glass that they came up with. So I got it. Here it goes. I'm going to nose this. I'm getting a lot of cherry on mine.
Getting a lot of vanilla and caramel.
Some vanilla. Airplane model glue. No, a little bit of ethanol. All right. It's not a bad nose.
And some kind of dried fruit, but I'm not quite sure it's cherry.
Mine is really. I get a ton of. I drank it, and the notes are apple and vanilla.
Getting brown sugar and oh my gosh, that is so sweet.
I like. It's funny because I don't think I've had Woodford probably 100 times. A lot of times, if I default at the bar, I will default to a Woodford Reserve, especially if you're with. I mean, I like the bottle. The bottle itself, its original bottle of Woodford Reserve, it exudes class. You know what I mean? It's a classy bottle. It's not nerdy classy, because there's some really nerdy classy bottles, you know, that's plain. This is not a plain label. This is well thought out. It's got the Woodford Reserve. It's like when you go there to the distillery, it's very, very professional. It's a professional, you know, you feel the attention to every single little detail where you're at. You know what I'm saying?
I'm getting brown sugar and cinnamon spice. Maybe even just a little bit of leather.
I get this vanilla pudding flavor underneath the
On
like
the finish of it.
Yeah, on the finish.
I'm getting like the cherry or like a real tart cherry.
I mean, these are going to be different. You're drinking 2025 and I'm drinking 2019. This brand has evolved 6 years. It shouldn't evolve too much, but I can guarantee you in 2019, it's still the brand has come so far, and Brown and Foreman have come far with the brand, and the double oak and everything they've been doing with this brand has been to make it better. But this is pretty good. I have to say, this bottle special to me. First ever bottle of Woodford Reserve I bought, and I'm going to basically drink it on the Kentucky Derby podcast going forward. But you ready?
Yes. I'm going to start off on the nose.
You can start off. Look at the legs on that, what that's doing. All right, you can start off on the nose.
Real thick and sugary. I'm going to have to give it a 3.
Super.
I really like this nose. I mean, there's a lot going on here.
Super Nash gives it a 3. 3 knocks on the barrel. 1, 2, 3. Hope that doesn't.
It's not super complex, but I mean it's got a lot going on, and you can pay between all the different aromas that it's got coming off of it. It's not. I'm switching off between nostrils because I'll get something off one nostril and then get something off the other.
Well, it's funny because the nostril that was plugged on Tuesday that didn't work at all was not my dominant nostril, but today that is my dominant nostril. I haven't been monitoring the comments. I'm sorry, everybody. I kind of ended up with, let's see if I can get the comments back up. Here we go. There we go. Walker said that the Blanton's release was today.
Howdy, Randy. What's up, Alan? Matt? Walker?
Yeah, I saw the 375 Blantons. There's no way you can get me to go to Buffalo Trace for Blantons on Derby week.
No way. It's a madhouse every year. The lines that line up just for those 375 bottles, just because it's a special Derby. It has the Kentucky Derby sticker on it.
I could think of a lot better things to wait for in the parking lot than the actual Blantons, especially what they've been doing lately. Blantons has been almost readily available. It's crazy how much it's
everywhere I go here lately has had Blantons on the shelf, ready to sell.
Yep. And let's
and I want to give a shout out to Mickey Finn's Beverage Depot. They're down in Florence. They got 3 stores down there, and they're the ones that helped me get this bottle today. And they do a lot of barrel picks. They had probably over 15 different barrel picks in their stores today from all the distilleries they go to. Plus, they have all the top I mean, hard to find bourbons. They had everything from Blanton's straight from the barrel, straight Blanton's Gold, regular Blanton's. They had E.H. Taylor's, all the Bookers. And I missed out on the Bookers because I stopped at the first store and asked for the Derby bottle. They were out, already sold out of it there, but he called up the number 2 store and sent me across town to get it. So I picked it up over there. Well, then I asked him because they had a bunch of other Bookers up there, older versions. And I said, well, what about the 2025 01? And then the guy told me, he says, oh, we got that back at the number 3 location. Yeah, I said, no, I was on my way back from Little River and all that. So I was like, no way, I'm not driving back across town just to get that bottle.
So on YouTube, we have C&K, a YouTube, asking a question, which was, teach me an easy Derby drink. So I can do that. So you take a glass and you put some crushed ice in there. Then you go, and I would go, but you can go to your store and you can get sprigs of mint. I will go outside and pick some sprigs of mint. You drop it in the glass, and then you make sure
You muddle that mint.
Yeah, you muddle some of it, but then you also have the sprig right there with the ice, and then you go to your local. You've gone to your local liquor store and you picked up the
Old Forester.
The Old Forester.
Whiskey.
No, the Old Forester mint julep bottle.
Oh, already made, yeah.
And you basically pour. She wanted something easy, and you pour that mix in, and you're ready to go with the actual drink of the Kentucky Derby. So that's what I would do. I suggest that you go to your local store, pick up some mint, and pick up the bottle that is, I believe it's the Old Forester, right? Or is it?
Yeah, it's Old Forester mint julep.
Right.
Yeah.
I believe
already pre-mixed.
I believe Evan Williams does one too, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've seen that. But the mint julep is available already pre-mixed, just to pour over ice. And
come to think of it, I think my wife had gotten a bottle of that, and I actually got it down on the bottom shelf somewhere because she didn't want me drinking it.
All right. So you gave it a 3 for a nose.
Yes, I did.
I do like the nose, but I think there's an aspect of where I think it's a 2. It's an average nose. And it's probably out of everything about the Woodford Reserve, to me, the nose is probably the weakest part to me. I like it. It's good, but that's the part that I want. I just don't get enough of something that I'm looking for. It's almost like it's there. I like there's a little cherry, there's a little wood, there's a little vanilla, but there's nothing like setting itself up.
That could also be contributed to that bottle is a few years old and lost just a little bit of it. And mine is what they call a fresh crack. But I had opened this up when I got home and left it open, and then I'd poured my glass before I even came on the podcast. So it's been sitting here, just aerating a little bit. But like I say, mine is it's got a lot of aroma to it.
All right. So I'm going to give it 2. 1, 2 barrel bangs or knocks. Not bangs, knocks.
That's right, knocks.
All right. So that brings us to the body.
The body.
I get to go first on this one.
You do.
What's amazing at 94? What's the proof? 92.4 or
90.4.
90.4.
Yeah.
That it actually hits my cheeks. It does. It's like I have to give this, as far as a body, a 3. It's surprising to me the amount of body that Woodford does have.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it 3 knocks. 1,
I'm gonna
two,
go
three.
ahead and agree with you, so you can give it 3 more for me, because it's hitting all sides of my mouth. You can see it's thick in the glass, and I mean the flavor is just it's got you there. So
It's the barrel bottle breakdown, and I'm breaking down the barrel. So 3 knocks for that.
all right, now we come to taste, and like I was saying before, this aroma, this taste is just it's matching the aroma. I'm getting brown sugar.
I get
I'm getting
a dusty.
cinnamon spice.
Do you get a
Little bit of
dusty
caramel.
aspect out of it? Like that flavor that you get off the dusty, that like almost the burnt
Yes,
flavor.
yes.
That's there.
That's there too in the background.
I almost
And I'm getting that little bit of fruit, almost tart cherry, maybe even a little citrusy.
but I get that vanilla pudding.
Right in there. And
I don't know if I put the vanilla pudding in the finish or just the underlying flavor on the taste. Because if I put the vanilla pudding in the flavor, it's very good. All right, you're up for flavor. Taste.
I'm gonna have to give it a 4.
Well, he gives it a 4.
It's got a great taste.
4.
Very
4
pleasant.
barrel knocks. Go ahead.
What I was saying, it's got a great taste to it. Lots of flavors coming through, and it's very pleasant. Very pleasant mouthfeel, which I probably should have said that on the body.
That's so good that I am going to give it also a 4. 1,
Right.
2, 3, 4. All right. Finish. The finish is medium. I do pick up after this now a little bit of that leather flavor. So I'm going to give the finish on this one, because it's medium, I pick up a little of the leather. I gave the vanilla to bump up that 3 flavor to a 4 flavor on the taste, but I'm going to say the finish is a 3. 1, 2, 3.
A 90.4. This coming across the finish. To me, I'm still picking up flavors after I've took that sip a few minutes ago, and because of that, I mean, I get that little bit of leathery, oaky taste, and it's on the finish, on the back end, because I'm getting the brown sugar and the sweetness of maybe the vanilla and that cinnamon spice. That's hitting all across the front and all across my tongue, but it's a medium, like you said, it's a medium finish. And because of that, I think I'm going to have to give it a 3 too.
All right. 1, 2, 3. The bottom rung fell off the barrel, so I have to put that back.
Oh, wow.
That's because we beat, barrels aren't supposed to be knocked.
Right. You gave it a total of 12. I gave it a total of 13, which gives us a 12.5
out of 18, which when you're talking about the standard small batch, their Kentucky Straight this is the standard batch that they make. I mean,
The Distiller Select.
I mean, seriously, can you, for 1 second, knock a 12.5 out of 18 for a
And for
$40?
$49.99.
That's
$50.
this is
$50 for a liter bottle.
right,
outdoor.
but that's with
Well-
the painting on it. It's
Yeah.
cheaper if you just buy the regular one. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
$46.99 without the art.
They had a gift set that I want to say was cheaper than this bottle here.
Yes,
They had the gift set that had that bottle there and 2 glasses, and I want to say it was like $46.99.
actually the gift set would have been probably there, or maybe even $5 cheaper because it's a 7.
Yeah, that's what I just said. It was
It's
like $46.99.
No, but I even meant it
or
might have.
$45.99.
it might have-
Yeah.
Yeah, it might, but that one is probably a 750 milliliter. So you're talking about the
Yeah.
extra 250 milliliters on that bottle.
Now that you say it, I bet it was a 750 milliliter bottle of the Woodford Reserve Distillers, because that's what they tried to offer me. Because on the box it had 151st run in the Kentucky Derby, and then it had the 2 glasses with it.
But not on the bottle.
Yeah, and I was like, no, that's not the one I want. I want the one with the artwork on it. And then that's when they sent me to the other store. And then the one guy, he didn't work there very much. I said, yeah, they called from the other store and sent me over here. And then he tried to show me, he said, oh, yeah, they're all right here. And there was a whole big stack of those boxes, with the glasses. I said, no. I said, I want the one with the paint. So then we walked to the back, and that's where this was.
You got it out of the back. It's my guy said.
It was the back of the store, because that's where the bourbon was. It was on the shelf with all the other Woodford Reserve.
Yeah, up here in Ohio, they went insane. He said he sold out of the painting, the painted ones last week.
Oh, wow. Well, see, that store, that first one I stopped off is right off the interstate, and it's right beside a Buc-ee's, of all places. I mean, right across the parking lot from a Buc-ee's. And
how close
they sold out of it there.
Here we go. Listen to this.
Oh. Which one is that you're drinking?
This is what Randy got for me that I traded for a Weller.
Well, read it off the front of it and tell me what. I don't want to say what Randy got you. Read off the front of the bottle what it is. It's the 1/17 series.
Yeah, I know which one it is too, but I'll still read it off the bottle. Oh, do I? Nope.
Oh, you have your glasses. Because I want to know if I got it. I probably don't have that one.
This is the Angel Share.
Oh, the High Angel Share? Yeah, I've got that one.
Yeah. Well, I basically drank one and I love it so much. He got me another one.
I don't think I've opened mine yet.
Well, you might as well do it now. I just opened mine.
No, I'm not. Are you going to drink from the bottle?
I was nosing it. It's going in the other glass because this is the pour for the night.
I told you what I got. I got the Old Forester single barrel strength rye whiskey. I've already got a poured up that I'm going to sip on in honor of the mint julep.
Yeah.
I wish I could see that bottle down there.
The banana on this is crazy. I'm going to say it's the Gwen Stefani No Doubt song.
No doubt.
Yeah, this shit's bananas. Bananas. That's the best. The presidential. So my Old Forester, once I went to the distillery, like when I was there the last time, I believe a couple months ago, I was down there and saw Walter and got.
Look at that color.
Yeah, look at that color.
It's the barrel strength single barrel rye whiskey, Old Forester.
And what's this strength of the Old Forester? Angel Share.
See that?
Okay, I started with glasses. How come I can't finish with them?
Oh my gosh. This is 127.5 proof. Came from Warehouse 6, floor 3.
This is ridiculous. I mean, I should have a pair of. Did they fall on the ground?
You know what I want to do? I want to go to Old Forester and thief from the barrel and their Rick houses.
Well, it's like Randy knows. Oh my God, Chris Morris, and that is the one guy we haven't met or had a relationship. And Randy talks about him all the time. This is Randy Prass, not Randy Ford, and so definitely.
Well, you know, I've always liked Old Forester.
Mm-hmm. But if you remember that you sent up those 150 anniversaries, and you sent me and Young knows those, and then we had an 86 Old Forester 86. We had a Old Forester straight barrel, single barrel proof pick, and we put that all together, and we had 1910 and 1920 in a blind. And I ended up picking the one anniversary blend was 1, but the other one was 6. And then the Old Forester 86 was number 2. But this is like banana bread. This Angel Share is so good. And then the presidential that Walker has, I will buy a president. I want my own presidential bottle.
I know you could pick out those banana notes in that Old Forester because you got spanked.
I didn't get spanked. I was the star of the class, and he had to like.
He spanked you.
Well, he was.
Hold your horses there, big boy.
Yes,
right in the middle of the class.
But it was impressive that I knew even the proof of what it was.
Yes, you did.
And it was blind. It wasn't even said what it was.
Oh, I know.
I was just like, out of all the whiskeys to be tasting, I'm like, that's Old Forester, and then I'm like, that's the 86, and that's the 100. And that's he was like,
admit that was so funny. He called you out and told you to shut up and hold your horses.
Yeah, and then he told me I was right afterwards.
That's true.
It's the first.
That's one thing I love about a lot of the Old Forester products is they have that banana runts, like the runts candy, banana runts candy. They have that note to a lot of them.
I would put this on a Bananas Foster and just pour it over the top of the bananas and the ice cream. It's so good. This is one of my favorite bottles. I think.
Oh, wow.
This is right up there with the old cart. I just love this 117 series with the Angel Share. Now, Randy's trying to get me the single Rickhouse one too. So,
you know, I sent you a sample of this single barrel strength rye whiskey. Have you got it down there on your shelf?
I'm sure somewhere.
It's got the green label.
I know what the hell it is. Yeah, it's somewhere there, Nash. I ain't digging for it.
Oh, I know why. Because you don't like rye.
I don't. What did somebody give me? They gave me a rye, and it was like, I got from a guy the rye of a Bullet 10-year rye. And that was loaded. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's still Bullet 10-year rye.
I like this rye whiskey. I don't think you'll like it.
What rye whiskey did I have? There was one lately.
This is like, oh my gosh. This is like a real spicy.
Before we go, we got to wrap this up. We gave that a 12.5. We got to do our picks.
Oh, yeah.
And just know that Walter was telling me that he did a special series at Whiskey Thief that he's going to be sending me the bottle up. And it was of Rise. And he goes, It's a rye like no other, but all the ryes were over 100. He said he was going through his collection in the Rick House, and it turned out that 4 of them, of the ryes that were in there, were all over 140 proof. And the one that he's sending me, he said it was 146.7.
Holy shit.
All right.
Love this rye. I love this rye right here.
So here we are again. So the 3 main guys, the 3-to-1 is journalism, the 6-to-1 is Sandman, and the 5-to-1 is sovereignty. So everybody else is like, now there's a 12, Rodriguez is 12-to-1. And so is Burnham Square, but everybody else is 20 to 30 to 1. That is a crazy, crazy odds. Now,
Oh my God, there's going to be so much money passed at the Kentucky all through betting on these horses. It's going to be unreal.
so
And this race is going to make some people rich because of those odds.
unless my picks come in the way they come in.
You bet on horses up there on your
I can get on the app, but it was just too much of a pain in the butt. I might look at it tomorrow and see if I can, and I'm going to put the money down.
Yeah.
But I haven't been doing too much betting. I ever since football was over, I've got money in my account, but I've just been letting it sit. I usually bet some baseball, but
I'm asking you to. I want you to do a $10 bet or a $2 bet. It's just a $2 trifecta on my 3 horses.
Well, if I get on, I'll call you.
Okay.
All right. Let's start out with number 3. What you got?
Hold the paper up to your camera.
Why?
So everybody can see it.
No, go first. You go first on your number 3, and then I'll say my number 3.
Thought you were going to go first.
Then you go first on your number 2.
I'll go first then.
Okay.
My number 3, and I'll put the paper up there just so everybody can see. My number 3 is Sandman at 6-to-1 odds, I do believe. Yep, 6-to-1 odds, Sandman.
So you basically went with the odds makers.
No,
3-to-1 is journalism, 5-to-1 is sovereignty, and 6-to-1 is.
Like I always do, I always look at the horses and try to find a little bit of background on the horses, and that's why I went with Sandman.
But he is placed in the odds number 3.
He's
number 3.
Oh yeah, he's in the
odds.
odds.
It would be journalism, sovereignty, Sandman would be the way the odds are saying.
Yeah.
So I'm going with something a little bit different. I'm going with Citizen Bull at 20-to-1 as my number 3. He is in the number 1 post position, which is an advantage. He's got the inside right off the bat.
Citizen Bull at 20-to-1 odds.
All right, I'll tell you first what my number 2 is. I'm going with.
Did you say you're saying Citizen Bull was number 3?
That's my number 3.
Okay.
It's
well, no,
win.
Because I want to write
win, place, and what's the third one?
Show.
Yeah.
Win, place, and show.
So I picked Citizen Bull to show. Now I picked journalism to place.
Citizen Bull, and he's at 20-to-1.
Who?
I'm writing yours down below mine.
Yeah. Who are
Who'd you pick? Journalism?
Journalism to place. Who are you picking to place?
He is at 3-1 odds.
Mhm.
And he is a highly picked favorite among a lot of people because he's won his last 3 races.
Yep. But it's going to be
And,
muddy and rainy, and he won't.
Yep.
He's not going to win, but he's going to do well.
Oh, my second pick, a lot of people don't know about, but I'm picking Burnham Square.
Okay, it's not the worst. He went with the 12-1.
He's 12-1 odds.
He would be tied for fourth place in the odds.
But the thing about Burnham Square is he won
ties with Rodriguez.
Also, he's known for going on the inside and getting to the inside and running the inside. And from where he's starting in the 9th gate, I'm pretty sure and that he can get there. And he won. I can't remember the race that he won, but I know he won a recent race this year already, and that's how that got him there. So, and that other thing is like a lot of the horses, if they can get to the inside, they've got the better chance of winning, and so that's why I picked Burnham Square.
All right, who do you pick to win?
I am picking Sovereignty. Is my first choice, and he is at 5-1 odds.
Can you read mine?
Oh my gosh, you're picking Sovereignty too.
Yep, we're both picking him to win.
Yep.
So there you go.
He also won a race this year, or 2 races.
He's a mutter.
Yeah, and he can run it. He can run it. He can run in the mud.
Yep. Well, that's what they were saying. I watched the show on FanDuel, and they were just saying that this horse he wasn't earlier in the time when Randy first posted. He was not the number, but once the weather report started going that it's going to be rainy and muddy no matter what, they were just 100% talking that he was going to be up there somewhere.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our picks. Let's finish up.
Wait a minute. I'm just now reading this. Today, the horse Rodriguez was scratched on Thursday, bringing Beza into the 2025 Kentucky Derby starting lineup at 12-1 odds.
There you go. Well, Rodriguez was 12-1 too. Okay. All right, so let's finish.
I was just trying to see if Beza was one of Bob Baffert. You remember Bob Baffert 3 years ago? He had to sit out for 3 years because of his horse. They said he had drugs in his system. Remember?
Well, didn't he win?
Yeah, the horse won.
But they took it away, which is insane.
Took it away, yeah. And he was the owner and trainer.
All right, so we're gonna wrap up this portion. Super Nash, I'd like you to stick around for the next portion because there's so many people that probably have questions for you. I'll post once we do this, we'll stay live for Facebook and YouTube, but we'll also post the link for everybody who wants to jump in. So there we go. Thanks everybody for this podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. This was the special Derby podcast. I really think, Super Nash, thank you for making it. Thank you for getting there on time, rushing around. I so miss you, brother, when you're not on, but you bring...
Yeah, I miss being here. I miss talking with everybody and just sharing everything that I have and that I have to offer. It's just it's fun. And like I say, when I don't get to do it, it's sort of a missing spot in my heart here. So
Well,
you
it's
guys are
also
awesome.
when you're not able to share it, it's a missing spot in our views. Anyways, all right, everybody. www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. All your Scotchy Bourbon Boys needs and wants are there on the website. Also, remember, we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. Also on all the major podcast formats, but mainly Apple, iHeart, and Spotify. No matter whether you listen or watch us, make sure that you like, comment, leave good feedback, subscribe, and listen. Listen, like, comment, leave good feedback, and subscribe. Remember, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, and good bourbon and good friends equals good times. Make sure you don't drink and drive, drink responsibly, and make sure you live your life uncut.
Cut and unfiltered.
All right. Little Steve-O is about to take us out, even though they're trying to take away all our revenue. Here we go. Let's see. I had it up there. I'm searching through a bunch of, there it is. No matter what you do to prepare, here we go.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you we must die.
All right, let me quick. All right, we're off there. We're still live, Facebook, YouTube. I will manage crosstalk. Boom. File published to. All right, hold on.
Oh wow! I just realized you picked Bob Baffert's entry, Citizen Bull,
To
source, yeah.
show. All right. Let's boom. Okay. I gotta remember.
The trainer is Ken McPeak, who won last year with Mystic Dan.
Derby. Scotchy Bourbon Boys. All right, we're saving that. I am about to push Control V and hit return. That should give everybody their in if they want. All right. So, all right, where did we go? There it is. We should have some people joining us on YouTube and Facebook. I'm not sure. Randy was jumping the gun. The way that works, Randy, is we got to be off the actual podcast. Randy actually will be seeing me, Super Nash. There it is. He'll be seeing me on the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and he's going to bring all the whiskey that I need to then ship to you that we're going to be doing on our Whiskeys of the World tour.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he's got Israeli, he's got German.
Randy?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good. And you?
A little bit tired, but I'm here.
I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a long day. My mother-in-law.
I had to use some eye drops before the start of the show because my eyes were just straining, focusing on driving and all that. but I'm supposed to put in some miles.
5:15 this morning, my mother-in-law called us and said, we need to go to the emergency room.
Oh, wow.
And she's in the hospital tonight, so.
Sorry to hear that. Is it?
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
I hope everything goes well.
Wow.
Thank you. Hey, Jonathan.
John and Walker
Hey, guys,
joined. Hey, John, you got the horizontal down better than Walker does.
He's walking around with his. He's walkering around with his.
I picked this up at the Derby I went to.
Oh, who are we getting? Are we getting Matt in? Was Matt here tonight?
He was on.
Yeah, and Tim's getting ready to come in. I think that's Tim's phone number.
Tim Dant?
Yeah, Tim Dant is coming in too.
Okay.
All right. That's
There's
Matt.
Oh, that's Matt.
Yeah, that's Matt.
What up, fellas?
Hey, don't be like, oh, that's Matt. That's Matt.
How's it going, guys?
Awesome.
Good.
So we're up to tonight. We're up to 6. Now I've got to turn this because I got to be able.
I sent you this, Nash, on your phone.
Oh, wow.
Yuck.
This is the one, but this is what y'all were recommended that they get. That's quick and easy.
For the mint julep. Oh, that's the actually mint julep mix.
This is the mint julep.
Okay.
Hey, Randy, this is what I'd rather have.
Well, I've got that one beside me too, probably.
Yeah, but somebody asked for a quick and easy, and that was the one.
Yeah.
Look, Melon Shop.
the Baker's one yet?
The
The what?
Anybody buy the Baker's one yet with the green wax?
No, I have a line on one, but I haven't bought it yet.
Are you talking about the glass or the bottle?
The bottle.
The bottom.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, no, you don't.
That's the one.
Yeah.
You're not talking about this, are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
God.
we're not talking about. We're talking about the green wax mint julep mix.
Oh,
That's
I
justified.
would take that one too, though.
That's awesome, Randy.
Wait, what's? Oh my God, we hit 7. It's a record. It's a record on the post. The post thing. It's just
Coming
getting.
in.
To be Tim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tim.
Hey, Randy, check
Yes,
this
sir.
out.
yeah, I saw that one earlier. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Tim would be interested in that.
That is gorgeous.
That's a
Oh, nice.
beam decanter from the 1971. Hey, Tim, 1971 Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Right in his wheelhouse.
Even look at that Wisconsin tax stamp right there in the corner.
You make me so jealous. Your dad got all of them from Wisconsin. How did he do that? Did he go to Wisconsin?
Yeah.
So he was in Wisconsin in 1971 when I was 5 years old.
He traveled all across the states. Yeah. Like I say, he was stationed in California, Colorado, all over.
So Super Nash, Tim showed us. Show us that bottle, Tim, of 47 from
from Tuesday.
yeah. So do you have that one, Tim? The 47 from Logstill? Oh, I can't. We don't have your sound.
Is Tim on?
It's trying to. Yeah, Tim's on, but it's trying to connect to the audio.
Oh, that's
Check
cool.
this out. My buddy got me a lamp.
Wow. That's an old bottle, too.
It is. That thing's cool.
What did he
Yeah.
do? Make that in shop class?
I don't know. I think he bought it. I think he bought it at one of those like old time places where they sell antiques and stuff.
Cool.
What is Ryan Marks with Walker?
My friend is a guest. He's sitting right next to me. So Ryan says hi.
Hey, guy.
Hey, Ryan.
What's up, Ryan?
Wait, he's on. Don't look at the case. That's like there you
Okay.
Now wait, we got 2 walkers. There it is. Hey Tim, can you talk, Tim? Yes? No? Yeah, there's the 47, but I don't think we have your audio going.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Tim, we need you to jump out and come back in because we can't hear you.
Or you need,
Just
can
hit
you
that
just
mute
say
button in the
something,
corner.
Tim?
Yeah, Tim's definitely.
He's got to probably
All
reset
right,
it.
can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
we
sir.
can.
Yeah, there we go.
Because we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah, we got
you're
you.
good now. There you
Yes,
go.
I'm talking. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
Yes.
Thumbs up.
We got you.
All right, can you hear me
Yep.
now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So can you hear me now?
Yeah,
we got you.
good now.
Turn off
Sounds
the
like there's a
camera. You got
delay.
me in your phone.
Well, the delay.
Somebody has their Facebook on still.
Yeah, it's on. It's probably picking up your
Okay.
Facebook.
So can you hear me now?
Turn off
Sounds like there's a delay.
Somebody has their Facebook on still.
Do you think your Facebook on, Tim?
So can you hear me now?
It's like a Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now?
What about now?
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
that's
that the Facebook's gone.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Wow.
100%. 100%. There you go.
Okay. So the story behind the 47 is in anticipation of the inauguration in Washington, D.C. My cousin, the founder of Log Still Distillery, goes to D.C., gets permission to use the presidential seal with the offer of presenting a bottle with the presidential seal on it to J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and the White House. However, because of copyright laws, we couldn't take the presidential seal and put it on our bourbon. So we came back and modified the label, still using the number 47, which is our registered distillery number at Log Still, and kept the presidential seal off of this bottle.
So my
And we released. Go ahead.
So my question is, does that state? I mean, that was exciting. So Wally went there, and did he get to talk with the president and Vance, or did he just talk with the people?
The staff and the individuals who authorized it to happen.
Okay, it's obvious that President Trump authorizes alcohol, even though he's not a huge drinker of alcohol, or he doesn't drink.
Yeah,
But
he doesn't drink.
What is that called, Walker? When the president doesn't drink, it's something like a tiffy, or there's something that they call it. But when I did that, but that's really cool that his administration allows for this.
Yes.
Teetotaler. You waited till I walked away to get water.
Well,
And
Probably
this-
a teetotaler.
This is a
Teetotaler.
375, by the way, guys. This was released on President's Day. So I went down to the distillery where we released it on President's Day, picked up 2 cases, projected about a 2-month lead time in releasing the 750 bottles, which came out a couple months afterwards, that are very similar to this. It's just a larger size bottle. However, in our tasting room, and you guys have been there, on
Yeah.
the shelf, there is a bottle with the presidential seal on it. It's on display only. On President's Day, when the lines of people went in, they all wanted to buy that bottle with the presidential seal on, obviously, and they were offering outrageous sums of money,
Wow.
but it was not for sale and is not for sale. We also have a picture of J.D. Vance holding one of those bottles with the presidential seal. And Jeff, I will text you that picture.
That's
Thank
cool.
That's awesome.
that is such support for the country that
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, it still blows my mind in Kentucky that the whiskey industry has so much of the other side in there, that there's so many people that have to their own. In reality, you can't be proud of your president. I mean, it's just like that's crazy. And the fact that you guys did this is fantastic. Plus, tell Nash what that means. Now, are there bottles left of the 47, or is it all
Yeah,
gone?
that was my next question.
Yes, they do have some cases in stock. You can only purchase this, however, at the tasting room itself on campus,
Okay.
or in our Monks Road Boiler House restaurant in downtown Louisville that we talked about the other night.
I'll be there. I'll be there in Louisville next week on Friday. I'm going to be in Louisville Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I will definitely go in and pick up a bottle of that. or two.
Now, now you can just imagine, though, given the number 47 and how people equated it with the 47th president, which was Donald Trump,
Yeah.
we took a lot of heat, especially through social media,
Well, of
and had
course.
resistance by the mere fact that we put 47. Nowhere on this bottle does his name or picture appear.
Nope.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we
you
talked
triggered
about-
everybody.
but
we
you know,
talked about the significance of 47 because that's the number my grandfather established after Prohibition when he built that 120-foot water tower on the current log still property.
which is
His
like,
RS
I
DSP was 47.
so when you had me
Awesome.
see when I went there initially with where you introduced me to Charlie, if you remember that,
Yes.
and I got there and I started with Wall and got to meet Wally and Charlie gave me the tour. They hadn't completely restored that water tower. It was just still the water tower that Charlie had been dealing with because Charlie was like the overseer of the property because he was working for the
Well, his
trust company.
father-in-law ran the Affordable Trust Company,
Yep.
which was a company that made wooden trusses for houses and homes, and it was in the old Quonset hut that had become dormant because that's the distillery my grandfather ran that closed in the 1960s. But because Charles Dant, my cousin, he was homegrown. He never left that part of the state. He stayed there his entire life. So he was really part of the fabric of that whole community. It was significant in getting Wally to repurchase those 300 acres back in 2020, I should say.
So let's talk about. So it got the family got so big in the 1950s, and you've showed me the family tree, and there was a dance part of that family running the distillery, but there was a certain part that wanted a piece of it but weren't doing any work. Correct? Is that what it was? And everybody was feuding, and that's why they sold the brand?
No, not necessarily. Again, my grandfather, who had the Dant distillery in Gethsemane, which is that current log still site, he opened that up right after Prohibition, 1933-34. Now, there was some controversy because he actually put his name on a label, and his own uncle, George Dant, who ran the original Dant distillery over in Marion County, he sued his nephew, my grandfather, because they thought that in his name on the bottle infringed on J.W. Dant's label that had already been established. So my grandfather had to stop putting his W.W. Dant name on his own bottle in 1934. But then he ended up selling in the 1940s to National Distillers, Arm & Hammer, and eventually Shinley Distillers. And Shinley's the one that put in the bottling plant in those Quonset hut style buildings. And then they shut down in the 60s and moved to Louisville, then eventually moved to New York. So that land, though, stayed there. It was just dormant. That water tower that Charles had to make sure was structurally sound in 2020, because Wally wanted to keep that as not only a landmark, but also a functional water tower because it houses, I don't know how many thousands of gallons of water. They made sure that it was structurally sound and then painted it. Now, remember, Jeff, I told you the unique story. We go back to Heaven Hills connection, slippery slope there.
Yeah.
When Wally cleaned up that water tower initially, he painted it. And when he painted it, he painted the term, the Dant family, the home of the Dant family distillery on the water tower. Shortly thereafter, his phone rang. Guess who it was? Max Shapiro.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wow.
And said, Wally, are you sure you want to do this? And Wally says, yes, this is Dant soil. My grandfather lived here. We're going to do this, Max.
Mhm.
Max hung up.
Well, I the overall thing. Just go over for me how Max's family, the Shapiros, acquired the Dant brand.
Well, first of all, it's Max Shapiro. It ends in letter A, not O.
Shapiros. Yes.
He's one of 5 brothers. They started Heaven Hill in 1935. And in 1933, of course, one of their business model was purchasing other brands. They picked up JTS Brown. They picked up, Henry McKenna. So in 1993, after the Dant brand changed hands many, many times, again, going back to National Distillers, Arm & Hammer, Shinley, Heaven Hill bought it in 1993 and continued to produce the JW Dant, the same label, same mash bill, 100 proof, bottled and bond. And so through the years, my family, who again, all my uncles and aunts stepped away from it. They didn't want to follow in my grandfather's footsteps and distill. We still bought it because it was our blood. It was our great-great-grandfather.
So you were buying it while Max was producing it.
Yes. So we gave Heaven Hill revenue. The Dant family bought more JW Dant bourbon than anybody else.
I'm going to tell you, when initially when I saw it on the shelf, you know, it was at I was coming back and it was at the border. What's the Party Source? And it was there, and it was what, $16.99 for a bottled in bond. I mean, it was fantastic. I picked it up, and I've made bourbon balls out of it. I'll drink it. I like it. I mean, I think it was $19.99 a liter. It was like, but when I heard what he was saying, when I heard Max say part of it, it's just let me know if I'm right or wrong, that they had worked hard to develop the brand. I was like, I don't know if they worked hard. I mean, it was, they kept producing it, but you know, it was a brand that it wasn't like they were advertising it.
We're not. As a matter of fact, when I retired from Hyatt Hotels down in Dallas, I came back to Louisville. I went to Bardstown and went to the Heaven Hill Distillery, the Welcome Center. They had no shot glasses, no merchandise, no T-shirts. Matter of fact, the T-shirts right now that have JW Dant on them only became available in their gift shop after the lawsuit occurred. Because we used to push them and says, why don't you promote this brand? It was cheap. You could buy a $7.50 bottle anywhere in the country for $15 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was fixing to say back in 2018. And this is what me and Jeff had talked about, you know, way back then was, you know, well, how do you pick out a bottle of bourbon? Well, I said, well, I go down to the bottom two shelves, you know, and usually pick out something less than $20, you know, because I was just getting into it and tasting it and all that.
Well,
so that's how we sort of started this podcast. But that was one of the first bottles that I had picked out.
So we simply wanted to tell our story. We weren't going to infringe on anything.
Tim, hold on.
We wanted to tell the story about our family.
For everybody who's on Facebook right now and YouTube, this Tim Dant is a member of the Dant family. He is the great-great-grandson of
great-great-grandson of
JW Dant, who basically was distilling out of a log. And he started a family of distilling family that was equal to the Beams. I mean, when you were talking about a time period and everything, and his family, actually, you're a descendant of Beams and Dants. So
that's right. And, and again, there would be no Yellowstone. I think everyone knows this as well. I'm preaching to the choir. There would be no Yellowstone if it wasn't for JW Dant. And the reason is JW Dant had 10 kids. By the way, 55 grandkids, 112 great grandkids.
That's where, I mean, honestly,
his first child was JB Dant. JB Dant in 1872, in conjunction with the opening of the Yellowstone National Park, had sent his marketing team out to the country and said, guys, we need to find a name for a bourbon because I'm not going to infringe on my dad's name. He wasn't going to name his bourbon JB Dant. They come back to him and says, JB, you got to check this out. There's this really cool national park that's going to open out here in Nevada, Colorado, and Wyoming. It's called Yellowstone. They go, well, let's name our bourbon Yellowstone. And that's how it got started.
Awesome.
Okay. So Steve Beam and Paul Beam, who founded Yellowstone and Limestone Branch in 2010-ish.
Who are your cousins? They're your cousins.
Descend from JW, just like I do.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they have an abbreviated family tree on their wall in their showroom that reflects that.
Well, I think they treat you, the Dants, a lot better than the Heaven Hill family does, you know. So there's but overall, I'm not sitting there judging anybody. I mean, it's business, and people do business, so there's always the business aspect. But we were talking last time, Jim Beam at one point owned Old Taylor, and when Buffalo Trace, who was basically had purchased the land that E.H. Taylor had started, the distillery where he started to make his after Pepper and started his own thing. They basically did a trade, which was when you hear the trade, it was ridiculous. It really was. I mean, it was obviously Beam being courteous to put the brand back to where it would, where it'll be. And one thing I will say, as you know, Tim, at one point in history, if Log Still keeps running and Heaven Hill keeps running, there's probably a point where where J.W. Dan comes back home. There will be a point. I believe that.
We kind of think that, and if they would just acquiesce and do that with for a reasonable offer, we're not asking for it for free. But I think that could be a really new lease on life. And of course, overnight with our marketing skills, with the marketing team that Wally's put together, we could go for $15 a bottle, $20 a bottle overnight, I'm sure. But here, let me tie this into the Derby for a second, because we're obviously on the eve of the Derby, or at least the Oaks. And this goes back to the anecdotal stories that are in abundance from J.W. Dan. So remember, he had 10 kids. His first son, J.B. Dan, had multiple sons, Mike and Sam. Mike, believe it or not, in 1946, owned a horse. I posted this earlier on Facebook, and I said, do you know who this is? It was a picture of a horse. And the name of that horse, it was owned by Mike Dant, the son of J.B. Dant, the son of J.W. Dant, had a horse named Southern Pride who beat Assault, the 1946 Triple Crown winner, beat him twice. The reason Southern Pride, Mike Dant's horse, did not run in the 1946 Derby is because he was injured weeks before the Derby. He could not run, but he beat Assault twice prior to the Derby and other races.
Wow.
And that's just one of so many different anecdotal stories that relate to J.W. Dant, and we can't tell the story. Legally, they don't want us to tell the story. Then why don't they tell the story? That's all we're asking. Tell the family story. There's an abundance of stories like that.
Real stories. It's the real stories, not the fantasy or made up. Because you guys, Tim has been the family historian. I mean, when I first met him and I was talking to him and he introduced me to Charlie and the Dant family, and I was going down, he sent me his family tree. And it's kind of like you understand at one point why the family got so big based off of everybody having so many kids that it was really hard because everybody had a piece of the pie to keep it going straight, right? I mean, that's really what it came down to. And at one point, there's a certain amount of people who just got sick of it and just got out of it.
And again, we talked about Basil Hayden. He migrated from Maryland with the Catholic families that John Baptist Dant was a part of. That's J.W.'s great-grandfather. And when they got to Kentucky, because they started their own Catholic church, which was one of their premeditated reasons for migrating from Maryland to Kentucky, they donated land that eventually became the current Gethsemane Monastery.
Wow.
If it wasn't for the Dant family...
Right near New Hope?
It's in Gethsemane. New Hope and New Haven and the Gethsemane is a small triangle of community. But Gethsemane is where the monk monastery is. There's about 35 living monks who work and live there now.
Yeah.
Okay. You know who's buried in that cemetery that's dedicated for monks? Two lay people named Wallace and Nancy Dant. That's Wally's grandparents. Their contributions, because they worked at the Dant distillery, their contributions to the monk monastery warranted them being buried in that cemetery. Wow. Their headstones are there now.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, these are the stories that relate to the Dant family.
Which then,
That's really cool.
Are you guys from anybody from Louisville on the call?
No.
No. Well, there's a suburb of Louisville called St. Matthews. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Two of the mayors in St. Matthews, Kentucky, a suburb of Louisville, were the Bowlings, Bernie Bowling Sr. and Bernie Bowling Jr. Bernie Bowling Sr. has passed, and they descend from J.W. Dant. And in 2020, right before COVID, I met, has anybody heard of the Backdoor Bar in Louisville? It was an iconic bar. It closed last year, but it would open up in the 1980s. And going back to Sam Dant, one of his descendants was John Williams Dant III. He owned the Backdoor Bar. So when I started to put all of this data together and these family trees on paper, Jeff, we invited Bernie Lubbers. You guys know who Bernie Lubbers is?
He's going to be on the podcast on the 6th.
Yep.
Okay, so Bernie Lubbers is a brand ambassador for Heaven Hill.
Yep.
And their national salesperson was a guy named John Smart. They met with me and John Williams Dant at the Backdoor Bar, and I shared all of this information with them. And I wanted them to recognize J.W. Dant for his 200th birthday. He was born in 1820. So in 2020, he turned 200 years old. I sent a formal letter to Heaven Hill saying, can you just do something? This is your label. You bought it in 1993. All we're asking is for you to do something unique to the label to recognize J.W. Dant's 200th birthday. They did not do it. So I've challenged them now that in 2036, that's the 200th anniversary of when he started distilling bourbon, which was 1836. That's on the label. So they have 11 years to get their act together and do something in preparation for J.W. Dant's 200th distilling birthday, because we think something should be done to recognize his 200th distilling birthday.
Absolutely.
Well, hopefully it'll be back by you. Maybe
It'd be
you guys
nice.
will get it back.
Yeah. So pretty simple request. You've seen labels. You've seen the Jack Daniels 160th label. And
Yeah.
people do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we were willing to volunteer and work and put graphics together for them. You know what little bottleneck cards are that hang on a bottle when you go into a liquor store, and there's little 2-inch by 2-inch bottleneck card. Let's
Absolutely.
create something like that. Let's tell the story.
Yeah.
Piece of elastic and a card.
That's it. That's exactly it.
I've been to the Heaven Hill Christmas celebration, and there's no doubt they can do it.
Hey,
Now, to their credit, they just opened a huge new distillery. Have you guys been there yet?
No, I
The
have
new
not.
one? Actually, it may not be open yet, but it's in the works. It's massive.
Well, I
It's
think
gonna
they're
be
just
very
they
striking.
broke ground and they're distilling. I don't think that's
Yeah,
open
right.
for
I don't think it's
anything.
open to the
I
public
saw
yet.
that they were distilling for the first time in Bardstown. I think
It's going to
sometime
be
in
big. It's going to be impressive.
February. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think-
obviously, they do a nice job. Now, what they've done recently is they've taken their welcome center and they've added a little museum. I think you've got to pay a nominal fee, like $10 to go through it. But they do have a bottled and bond case, glass enclosed case with their bottled and bond bourbons. And a bottle of J.W. Dant is displayed in that bottled and bond case. So
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've been there.
So,
I was there
Yep.
this Christmas, and the whole museum was open, and it was there.
Yep.
And
It's included in all the tours, so it's free if you already have a tour booked. But
that
like
it? Okay.
Tim, it's
Yeah.
pay to play if you haven't booked another tour, I think.
Right. So,
yeah, and we're definitely having Mr. Bottled and Bond on the next May 6th, which should be, what is that? Tuesday? Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah.
now to Bernie's
May 6th,
credit, though,
Tuesday.
No,
will
May
give Bernie
9th is
credit.
Friday, so the 7th. So, yeah,
Thursday.
you're right.
now when Bernie's on, do you have him bring his guitar?
I have CT set it up. Chris
No,
Thompson.
really, you should seriously think about it. You know, he's a stand-up comedian. and
Yep.
He's an entertainer.
Oh, yeah.
He's a legit guitar player. So on May the 7th of 2020, when I had told him all about JW's history, he actually texted me and said, Tim, is it okay if I do an ode to JW? And he took the time on that day, and I recorded this and sent it to all of our relatives, and he did an ode to JW with his guitar and sang his own tune in his own words and only Bernie could do it,
Yep.
and recognize JW's 200th birthday, and I had to thank him for that. It was one of the
Oh,
coolest
that's
things
awesome.
I've ever seen. But Bernie, if you could get him to bring his guitar and do something really unique,
Well,
he might even be able to add to your own jingle. I know you guys play your little song before and after your podcasts.
I mean,
I'm sure he could.
He could kick it up a notch, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I will tell you that my ultimate fantasy podcast is to have Bernie, Stephen Fonte, and Freddie
Yes.
Johnson on all at the same time live.
Yeah.
To have them all three sitting there, because I really think their bourbon stewardship has their brands of what they do. I mean, if you want to talk to Wally, it's just like he needs a you would be Tim, you should take that over and just because honestly, when you sell the brand and you have such passion as they do, that makes a difference in why people buy the whiskey. I mean, whiskey, you taste it all the time, but I'm going to tell you, between anything that's been distilled properly and you got your regular brand, your small batch, all the way up, the difference between them is 2 to 3%. It's not that big. And that 2 to 3% sometimes can mean all the difference in the world. But what makes those 2 to 3% and why it sells is the people that sell it and the experiences they offer. Because you've been with Stephen Fonte. I mean, smoking a cigar, drinking Yellowstone with Stephen Fonte makes that whiskey like 50 times better than what it actually is, because what is bourbon and whiskey besides relaxation and experiences? You open that special bottle for your daughter's wedding, or you open that special bottle for the birth of your son, or you open that special bottle when your son turns 21. You bought the bottle when he was born, and then you open it with him when he turns 21 to drink. Those experiences mean so much. And when you throw in those three, they know exactly, they never do anything negative towards those experiences. They just make those experiences.
Yeah, and again, the industry, the bourbon industry, you guys have talked a lot about it, whether it's on an uptick still or it's not, it kind of becomes stagnant. I think it's still on an uptick.
It started back on its uptick. It definitely has.
I agree.
But it's an industry where, it's a tight industry. I worked in the hotel business for many years. So, and Jeff, you're familiar with Columbus. So I managed the Hyatt Regency in downtown Columbus. So if we had a citywide convention coming to Columbus, we wouldn't fight against the local Hilton or Marriott. We would partner with them because we wanted to showcase our city. Even though we were competitors, we knew that the better Hilton and Marriott and Hyatt worked together, the better chance we had to succeed as a city. And that's similar to the bourbon industry. These distilleries work with each other. And that's what was kind of disappointing about, considering bringing JW back to where he belongs, so to speak, is because in 1996, if you remember with the fire, it's been well chronicled. Heaven Hill was virtually destroyed.
Yep.
And there was a couple of distilleries in Louisville, Kentucky, who picked up the slack and told Max, don't worry, you're not going to go out of business. We're going to help you. And to this day, they actually produce the JW Damp Bourbon, I think, and others in the Louisville plant. So he was the very recipient of the good graces of the bourbon industry in 1996. And so, we would just, maybe like to have that consideration at some point down the road when the timing's right.
I mean, so I'd like to take, honestly, I'd like to talk to you what you think, not online, not right now, but your opinion of why Max has his issues, because it's obviously he has issues. There's no doubt. And it's just like, I'd like to know what your opinion is, but we don't have to talk about that right now, because that we're public and whatever, and we don't have to make statements, because there's no reason to make anything worse.
But we can get together and share a dram of something, and talk about it. But you know, and I met Max for the first time. You guys were at the Bourbon Festival this year in September, and I'm going to
Yeah.
be volunteering to work again.
So are we.
September.
So we'll be
I'm
there.
on the list of volunteers. And when he came up to the booth at the welcome booth that I was working, I met him, shook his hand. I gave him my business card. Although when he looked at his business card and saw my name, he kind of froze because we had never met before. I said, Max, I would love to talk to you at some point. And he was very cordial. And his wife was there, and of course, he had a lot on his plate. But that's really what we want to do. We just want to talk about our ancestors, our family, like anybody would.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Understandable.
Well, if Wally makes it successful enough, maybe he can speak them. I don't know if it's money or whatever. Although Wally already has money, but it's not endless, and he started up a distillery, which is no easy task. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Well, he's created his own legacy. To his credit, he's a very successful entrepreneur. He's had successful healthcare companies. That's all well documented.
Nobody's going to remember.
He came out of the ground, and within 3 years, really put off something that is unmatched. It's not just a distillery; it's a destination with a 10-acre lake and 300 acres and bed and breakfast and an amphitheater that draws 2,500 people. 10 times a year. It's absolutely phenomenal, and it's only going to get bigger and better.
Is the gift shop restaurant open now?
No. What he took the sidestep, and rather than open the restaurant on campus, he acquired the space where Monks Road Boiler House is, which was an old Beer Nose pizza spot that moved over closer to the convention center, and that freed up that space that he took over and created the Monks Road Boiler House restaurant there across from the Center. So
where's that?
And that's doing. I'm sorry,
Jeff. It's right there on the corner of where.
It's on Whiskey Road, Jeff.
Whiskey Road, right there.
Oh no, okay. So no. Okay, so you're talking about he went with Louisville for the restaurant, not a restaurant on premise. Now, is
correct.
The building that he was going to first put the restaurant in, then he was split because Charlie showed it to us, and it was going to be half and half. Is it now the gift shop?
Not yet. That footprint is in place. That just has not been finished.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, Tim, I wanted to say something that my family has gotten in common with the J.W. Dent family.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My parents had 10 kids. He was a military man, 5 boys, 5 girls. And at the time of my mother's death in 2022, 47 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
15 great-great-grandchildren and 3 47 grandchildren, 15 great-grandchildren, and 3 great-great-grandchildren at the time of her death.
Wow. Did they have a Catholic background by any chance?
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Well, that's also kind of a common theme, because again, if all those ancestors only had 1 or 2 kids, my family tree would be 1/3 the size. But as Jeff knows, on paper, it's pretty impressive. And there's just so many stories. I talked about the mayors of St. Matthews descending, the Beams themselves. We've got the Pearl Harbor survivors. My dad was one of 13 kids. 6 of them were in World War II. Like any family, everyone's got their own success stories.
Yep.
And we just wanted to, create something and share, that lineage. And share those stories because bourbon, the industry, and all the stories you can talk about folklore and how the legends have it. There is a lot of truth to a lot of that.
Absolutely.
And, so the other thing, we talk about you talked about some of the players you want to get together in the same room at the same time. You also know who Fred Minnick and Michael Beach are.
Yeah.
Those are 2 bourbon authorities. They're both in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame. They've written books. And actually, some of their books, as accurate as they are, have some inaccuracies in it. There's one book that says Steve Beam was married to Dant. Steve Beam's never even been married.
Oh, wow.
And Steve knows this. So we have a saying that nobody should know more about the Dant family than the Dant family. And that's what we wanted to convey to Heaven Hills. Like, let us help you tell the story. Tell the story. It's your brand. You bought it. You produce it today. And if you don't want to produce it anymore, then get rid of it. But you're holding on to it for a reason. But like any other brand, they promote, the Henry McKenna's of the world. They promote the Yellow Corn, the JTS Browns, the Elijah Craigs, the Larcenys. So promote JW Dant. It's one of your brands.
Right.
So
So that's all you want. Whether if you don't give it back, promote it.
Remember I told you I met with Bernie Lovers and John Smart?
Mhm.
So John Smart being the sales guy, he has business cards, right?
Right.
So when he hands me his business card, like a lot of companies, on the back of his business card, there's pictures of all the brands that they produce. Guess what picture was missing?
JW Dant.
JW Dant.
JW.
And as soon as I turned the card over, I looked right back at John Smart, looked him right in the eye, says, John, where's JW Dant? He goes, I know, Tim. I know. It's not on there. I know. It's like, John, why not? It's one of your brands.
Exactly.
It shouldn't take a lawsuit for you to start promoting this tangibly.
Right.
Come on. And that's what it took.
Tim, in my business, when we come up against something like that, since my business isn't business at all, it's being a soldier and an officer.
Right.
My superiors typically tell me one phrase. They say, fix it.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
So I
Good point.
did find the single barrel. What's your
what's the proof on that? 121?
This one is 121.27.
Good stuff.
It's yeah.
Is yours Bourbon Capital Guild, Tiny, or which one is yours?
I feel like we have the same exact one.
Yeah, we do, Matt, because we bought it the same day. Because I bought that on the bus tour.
Yep.
Right.
I got one of those too.
Hey, does anybody have a regular bottle of Monk's Road by any chance nearby?
I do have I have lots of bottles of Monk's Road.
It just, even if it's empty, the reason I want to point something out to you, and this goes back to, again, the Dant history. If you have a bottle, because I don't think it's on the neck of the bottle you're holding on to, Jeff.
No, 47 is right there. You see that?
47
Right in
is,
the
but
middle.
on the bottom, the bottleneck of another Monk's Road, a standard Monk's Road bottle, there's a small decal, and it's a Latin word called soli dial. If you look really close, you'll see two words, soli dial. It's Latin. You know what it stands for? God alone. And you know what word are inscribed in a stone wall as you walk the Gethsemane Monastery up to their Catholic church? Or the word God alone. That was put there because of our family lineage and what we contributed to that land.
To that.
Everything that we do has a reason behind it.
I mean, you could sit there and talk about, by putting log still there, what that meant as far as to you got to the community and the jobs that you put in there. It's just something that the New Haven and New Hope, that area, that was very depressed, and it's like you're bringing tourism back and you're bringing certain things back, and it's changing the whole dynamic of the area.
Right.
Yeah, real quick, jumping in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Catholic here, the second word is Dei, D-E-I.
DEI?
Yeah, I mean, not the thing that we're hearing about in politics, but DEI is God, Dei.
That's correct. That's correct. Yep. But yeah, so, and again, there's so much there. The other thing too, going back to the water tower and that land that was dormant before Charlie's dad, father-in-law took it over. Remember in 1978, when, I don't know if you guys are boxing fans, but Muhammad Ali won his third title in 1978 when he beat Leon Spinks for the second time. Remember that?
Yep.
But the reason that's significant is, you guys heard the term cornbread mafia?
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, you know the Bickett brothers? That's another, seriously, Jeff, you've got to get Bernie Lovers in his guitar. You've got to have a podcast that involved the Bickett brothers. The Bickett brothers worked with Johnny Boone, who passed away recently. They were the cornbread mafia. In the 1970s and 80s, when these guys got back from Vietnam, it's a whole story. They've got multiple books out. They were growing marijuana throughout the fields of Nelson and Marion County. In 1978, during the Ali Spinks fight, the Nelson County sheriffs, word got out that they were going to have a party. We're going to be focused on the boxing match. That night, the Bickett brothers and Johnny Boone called the guy who owned the land, or the dormant Quonset hut buildings were, the warehouses, the old Dant distillery, and they stored their marijuana crops and hid it from the Nelson County sheriffs that night in the old Dant distillery
Oh my God.
warehouses. That's documented in a book.
Wow.
These are the stories, guys. I'm telling you, these are the stories that abound.
It's what, but you know, it's funny because that's what bourbon and whiskey does to a community to tie. It's the stories and the histories and the documentation and the people. And that's why it's such a fun, important business to keep going. And it does. And it's one, like you said, right now where the JW Dant label is and where it's being produced and everything, it's not where it should be, but it's still going. It's kind of like a marble rolling. It rolls off course every once in a while, but it seems like when you talk about and you look throughout history, it all ends like right now with the boom. There's so many brands that were just dormant, just laying there, and they're bringing them back now. Whether or not they bring them back to taste like what they tasted like before, but brands are the cohesive glue that keeps it all going, right?
And like you said, J.W. Dant has a story and a history that needs to be told. I mean, these stories need to be told, but they're being held back right now. And that's something that we all together, everybody as a collective, as a bourbon enthusiast, needs to help do. And we're glad to be a part of it, to help you. And we'll do it.
So Tim, the bottle you've been holding the whole time, it's 47, and there was backlash, correct?
Yeah, there was.
But in the end, if you balance the backlash with the positivity, was the positivity something that was worth the backlash? And
absolutely.
That's what
the demand for these bottles and the cases of these bottles nationwide. Once they heard about it, people, I mean, they were calling me just networking. I need a bottle. I need a case. Get me a case. Get me a bottle. This is unbelievable. I mean, it was crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, one of these days, if that presidential seal ever gets out on the secondary market, look out. So keep an eye out for it.
Tim, there are going to be several of us down, as you know, for Walker's going away party that weekend.
Yeah.
Where are you going to be?
We're going to be in Louisville.
Floyd's Knob for the dinner.
So do you know where Amore is?
Over in Indiana?
Oh, do you know where Amore is? The restaurant? I believe Al Popsadero, actually Greg Schneider turned us on to that, and we go there a lot. And
I have not been there, but yeah.
It's well worth it. It will be.
What are the dates again?
We're going to be there for Walker is being stationed to Arizona. And so we're throwing a going away party for him, and that is not this Friday, but the following Friday at 6:30 at Amore in Floyd's Knob.
I believe that's May 9th.
May 9th.
Yeah,
May 9th. That's possible.
I would love to have you.
Yeah, because we're all going to be there.
My question for you is, are there any of those 375s left that 3 or 4 of us could get? Or are they all 750s now?
Well, I personally have, I think, 3 or 4 375s remaining from the cases I bought.
Well,
but what I'll do is I'll call, because I still keep in close contact with 2 or 3 of the log still employees, because I usually don't try to bother Wally with little stuff like this. So I'll confirm how many I can get. And Jeff, I can shoot you a note and says, hey, just hypothetically, say, hey, Jeff, I can get you 5 or 6, and I can just bring those with me.
That would be great. But just tell Wally it's me, and it's not little stuff anymore. Wally.
He'll stop in his tracks what he's doing and we hear Jeff Mueller's name.
Yes, Wally is one of the first people to invest into the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, and I
Hey,
will
if that don't
remember
work,
that forever.
tell Wally Super Nash was asking.
Super Nash.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, what about this Chris Thompson guy I hear about? What's his story?
CT. I mean, he joined us. He's great.
3 years ago.
Is he a Louisville guy?
He's actually Springfield, Ohio.
Springfield, Ohio.
But that is, but that's only 2 to 3 hours away from Kentucky. So he's down there all the time.
Springfield, Ohio is like 5 days of the week, and then 2 days of the week, you could say pretty much Louisville and Bardstown.
Well, remember, my wife's from Columbus, so I lived there 3 times in my Hyatt career.
Right.
I lived
So
actually Hilliard on the west side of Columbus.
Okay.
Which wasn't too far from Springfield.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very familiar with that area.
And you know the distance. So like tonight, he tried to join us, but this is his week where he spends time with his family and everything. And so but I know he's going to be.
He's headed down to Bardstown and Louisville area tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
No, but yeah.
Hey, have you guys met Stephen Edge yet? Stephen Edge, EDDS is his last name. Stephen Edge is the brand ambassador for Log Still, and he oversees the states of Indiana and I think now Ohio in promoting all of our Log Still spirits, the gins included.
Well,
Great guy, good PR, works his butt off. And that, he does coordinates these tastings at various liquor stores, restaurants, bars, and hotels.
Yeah, he
that
needs
might be
to
somebody
get
you could hook up with.
Oh yeah, he needs to get a hold of me because there's a lot of Log Still that just sits on the shelf up here.
I'll do, Jeff, I'll send you his contact information.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
awesome.
Stephen Edge, yes.
Tim, does your cousin still work at the gift shop? I met her when I was there the first time.
Well, a couple of them do. One's named Amy. She actually opened the bed and breakfast.
Yeah, I met her that time.
Room. She works behind the bar. Yeah, she's a cousin as well.
Does she still cook for
US Air
does
Force
she still
veteran.
cook the bed and breakfast and then work behind the?
Yeah.
She makes a fantastic breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my son's a Coast Guard officer, so they kind of hit it off.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Just another note on the single barrel variants that Tiny and Matt and I have. I believe on the back, on the very bottom, underneath the barcode, it says Pax Tibi. So it says peace to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct. Or peace be with you. That's correct. That's another, again, by design, place right there, given our family's lineage and heritage to the Catholicism and so forth and the monk connection. That's all there. That's just not trivial stuff. That's all by, to Wally's credit, that's all by design.
So we live by a nunnery. What would that be called?
Mother house.
Okay. Right within, I am within, convent. I'm within an eighth of a mile of a convent. So when you guys were so close to, the monks, and then everybody talks about the fruitcakes that they make, right? That's the big thing.
Correct.
So
that's correct.
So the nuns make pepperoni rolls.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
It is in Canton, Ohio, the coven, where that is and everything. They have bake sales, but when it's the pepperoni rolls, pretty much the whole city shows up for it.
Wow. Yeah. Cool.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
So
now, you ever heard the name Thomas Merton?
Actually, it sounds familiar.
Thomas Merton was an author. He wrote, I think, probably over 50 books. And he decided to come to America because he wanted to become a monk, a Trappist monk. So he identified Gethsemane back in the 1930s or 40s. And when he arrived, he was actually picked up by Wally's grandfather. This goes back to the contributions that Wallace and Nancy made. And Wallace drove him from the train station, train depot, over to the monastery. And in his book, 7 Story Mountain, he actually references Nancy in a short paragraph where she came out and she, I think, was an administrative capacity and maybe picked up the local mail or something. But she's referenced in Thomas Burton's book. But yeah, again, it's just endless in the number of things and how we've touched people over the decades and centuries.
Yeah,
So,
and you're back to do it again.
yeah.
It's bigger and better.
By the way, a minute ago, I don't have the split screen, but there was somebody that I just saw, and they've got a bottle with JW, the letters JW on it. Can you go back to that? Who is that? Someone on the Zoom call right now. He's got a whole spread.
There it is.
Yeah.
No, why can't I can't.
Talk, Matt.
Matt, say something.
Not Jonathan.
I'm talking.
Matt lies.
He's offline.
I got you. Can you hear me?
Right there. There it is. There it is. Right
I
there.
got you.
Where did you get that? Where did you get?
So they turned
Everybody
this
see
into
that?
a lamp. They got it for my
I've got
birthday
a bottle of that in my collection. That's pretty cool. Where did you get that?
So my buddy went to it was like one of those antiques shops, and there was a guy
Really?
that was making old bottles into lamps.
Really?
This is actually, it is into a lamp now. It's just not plugged in right here, but
Right.
yeah.
But did something draw you to that bottle though? Having JW Dan's name on it?
Oh,
To
yeah.
be honest with you, they picked it up for me when they were I think they were on their way home from Gatlinburg. So he thought
Wow.
that it was whiskey, and he goes, Matt will like it, and he brought it over
Sweet.
for my birthday. I was like, this is sweet.
Hey,
Well, now
Matt.
now it's like Paul Harvey. Remember Paul Harvey? He says, now you know the rest of the story.
That's
Oh,
right.
Harvey,
That's
good
right.
Hey, so Tim, is that bottle open?
The 47?
No.
No.
That
Oh, the-
bottle that you have a bottle of, or is you
The
just
big
have
one.
an empty bottle?
Oh, you said you had a JW bottle like that.
Well, I've got a 2 foot tall JW bottle that's empty.
Okay.
And actually, you know
Okay.
what? I got that at a flea market in Ohio.
Okay.
If you drive from Columbus to Ohio University, which is in Athens, right?
Yep.
There's a small community on the way. Give me a really cool name. Dang on it. But when you're driving from Columbus to Athens,
Zanesville.
no,
Not Mantua, is it?
no. I'll think of it. But yeah, that's where I picked up that bottle years ago for like $20.
Okay.
I had to
We
have it.
have really cool places where they have all kinds of old stuff. That they have decanters sitting all over the place, and they have all
Right.
kinds of stuff at these places.
Yeah, it's cool. You got a heck of a collection behind you there, though. Good stuff.
Thank you.
I see a couple of Blantons, Booker's up top, Penelope.
Yep.
Yeah,
Maybe Randy should turn his camera around.
I'm
Do
just laughing.
do it.
No, I'm good. Unless he wants to see.
Yeah. Randy likes it. Randy, I told him because he has acquired some. I've put him on foreign whiskeys because we do all sorts of whiskey on the podcast. We're bourbon heavy, but Randy's going to be on. Actually, it should be this month. He's going to be able. He's getting me an Israeli and a German whiskey, and
Really?
and as he acquires that type stuff, we want to be able to taste it.
Sure.
There it is.
That's the German rye.
Oh wow.
I'm German, and I'm going to
This
try
is the
a German.
Israeli.
Hey, wait a minute, Jeff. I was born in Germany in '65, so in Stuttgart. So
And
I
I've
should get that bottle before you.
But
I got
that
about
doesn't
9
make you
different
German.
countries.
This one's from Poland.
Oh,
My dad's worker was in Poland. I have one
Yeah,
from
but-
India. I have a handful of different countries in here. Yeah, J.A. Pajuski. Wow. It came in a wrapper that had a map of the country on it. It was really, really cool.
Hey, Matt.
That's how they wrap their bottles when you buy them at the store. They wrap it in a map of the country, you put it in the bag, and then they brought it home in the wrapper. I just don't know where I put the wrapper. It's down here somewhere.
That's what we're going to start doing is featuring drinking around the world, drinking bourbon and whiskey around the world.
Well, today's
Well, you gotta
May
get that
1st,
one from
guys.
India.
Well, you could do
So
that.
Bernie's
I
on
know, Jeff,
Tuesday.
You have different themes on your podcast, but you could do like a show and tell and do a feature each on one of your podcasts and give somebody a couple of minutes to showcase their whatever and just add it to your collection.
Yeah.
Because you've got a lot of, a lot of bourbon enthusiasts. By the way, do you guys have a bourbon society of Ohio or something like that you guys are members of?
We're members of all members of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, and that's the group that's the group. I'm starting to do tastings, but yes, there's Central Ohio bourbon enthusiasts that I normally, and Northeast Ohio Bourbon Society that I know the people. What is it? Tim Nutt, and then also he does Northeast, and then
and Matt. Matt from
from Central Ohio Bourbon Enthusiasts.
Central Ohio, yeah.
So
I just met the guy from Drums and Drams last week.
You mean
At River
Jason?
Roots.
Yeah.
What's that?
Jason,
I'm a member of a bunch of them down in Florida with your cousin Stephen, and then some in Georgia, some in Tennessee, and some in Kentucky.
Yeah, so Steve Beam just got a house near not Sarasota. Where's he?
St. Pete.
St. Pete, yeah.
Around that area.
Yes. Okay.
Bradenton, maybe. I don't remember. I can look it up real quick.
I know Bradenton's on the other side of the frickin' state compared to St. Pete. No, I suppose they're both on the Gulf.
Right.
It's
double oak there, Jeff?
south of Tampa.
5 malt.
Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Steve is he's another icon in the industry, though. He's really done something. And again, he had a passion to get back into the business too. Back in 2010, when he went up to St. Louis and met with Luxco.
Are we talking? Are we talking Stephen Beam?
Correct.
Yeah.
He has a little bit different political opinion than Wally.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a bottle of 47 on his board.
No.
He actually lives in Safety Harbor, I believe.
I just was like
Safety Harbor. That's
Safety
it.
Harbor. Thank you. That's correct. Thank you.
I think Stephen Fonte is less political and there's lots of reasons. It's just like sometimes it's like with Stephen, it's just like, I love you, man, but I gotta snooze you.
Yeah.
So just briefly, while we did the international thing, and I'll get off this, I repatriated a bottle from Frankfurt, Germany to Fort Knox, Kentucky. So that was kind of fun. I couldn't find my bottle, but I found my bottle.
What does that even mean?
Look at that.
You
I brought it back.
That's pretty cool.
Repatriated.
Traveled to Frankfurt.
So we need to do that on a podcast.
Yeah.
From Frankfurt to Frankfurt.
The repatriation podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, what John said.
There you go.
But
John, what are you drinking on there?
Well, I just picked up a rare character today.
Yeah, that's the bottle I was interested in. I saw.
This is a batch 2, 2025. Just dropped it. Jeff, this just dropped at Malloy's today, so I just went and grabbed that.
Rare Character's got some pretty good stuff.
Oh yeah, they do a lot of blending. It's pretty good. And then I just went and grabbed a good old Bardstown Origin Series. I love this one.
Yeah,
I love this one.
Did you grab it from your collection or from the liquor store down the street 5 minutes ago?
Not 5 minutes ago. I after work, man, after I got off teaching, I was coaching some intramural basketball. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to swing into Malloy's. They made a post that they were dropping all these whiskeys, and I walked in. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have that.
Good
So that's
choice.
the high wheated. That's even more delicious. I have the bottled and bond, and I have the high wheat somewhere. Very delicious.
Yeah. Bardstown Bourbon Company, though, you talk about a company that has come out of the ground in a short period of time and done an excellent job. Have you guys been to their satellite room in downtown Louisville?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure
Me
have.
and Walker, me and Walker
Yeah.
spent a Sunday morning there.
Unbelievable. Absolutely gorgeous.
Walker,
Well, that's one thing they've always done. They're right there with Woodford Reserve, and then I think Bardstown Bourbon Company with that Napa Valley. Pay attention to cleanliness, detail. When you're everywhere when you're at those experiences, you don't find any loose edges. Where like you could go to other whiskey allows for loose edges, but those places are like those high-end wineries, you know what I mean? And they do such a good job of it.
Yeah, they do.
Walker and I have a barrel. Oh, you don't mind me telling, do you?
No, not at all. Aging.
Walker and I have a barrel of Bardstown Origin Series aging for us. We bought it last November, I think, and it's aging. And so in about 5 or 6 years, we will claim it, or whenever it's ready, we'll claim it and have a barrel.
Randy, did you guys do one of those like Bardstown investment deals with them?
We did it through a broker that I've done other barrels through.
Okay.
I've got another barrel of Kings County up in New York aging for me that's older than that one.
Really?
Had I known they were doing that, I probably would have done it through them instead of him. The difference between doing it with them is you're getting a fully aged barrel and it costs you a whole lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Where?
Through Bardstown directly.
It costs more at Bardstown? Okay.
I think it does because you're getting a fully aged barrel. And see, ours we're getting new. We got new fill, and we're having to wait.
Okay.
Gotcha.
About 4 to 6 years, whatever we determine.
Do you mind me telling him about the annual privilege that you have?
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Annual tasting privileges as it ages.
How many people?
Well, whoever we want to invite, we actually own the barrel.
If I had to guess, 4 to 6, because I'm not going to let that barrel go that far.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiny, you are not going to represent the angel chair.
Wait, you said 4 to 6. I'm not even in the 4 to 6, Walker.
That's not what I said.
I'll remember that. I'll remember that.
If you invited them.
Randy and I are only 2. I did not say you were not part of the team, but I'm guessing here.
I would take investors in my barrel.
I mean,
up in New York, if anybody had any interest in the Kings County. I did it for my son, so that in about 6 or 8 years, when he makes certain ranks in the military, he'll give, instead of buying the drinks at the bar, he'll give everybody a bottle of whiskey.
My
That's
question is,
That's awesome.
What am I mixing it up with? Isn't there a Kentucky distillery with the King's something?
Oh, there's a Tennessee distillery that Matt
Tennessee.
and I had been to called King's Family. King's Family Distillery is in Sevierville, Tennessee.
Y'all were just there recently, right?
What?
Y'all were just there recently, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Kings County, does it have a
I've been to that distillery, but I just did a tasting there.
Is Kings County a very, very simplistic label? Like
Yes,
it's
it
a white
is.
label with
Extremely simple white label. I'll show you one
all
right
right.
here.
Yeah. Okay. So that is Kings County.
They all look like this with different colors.
That's
That's
King's
the Amberana
Family.
one.
Yeah.
And then you have the black one, which is the 8-year double barrel dry.
Yep.
Looks like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
I tasted that when I was up there.
This
there
is quite possibly one of the best things I've ever had.
Yeah.
The rye is just amazing. I don't know.
They have what, about like 10 to 12 different bottlings.
That's the King's Family, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
King's Family, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you're
that's
talking about
family.
Kings County
Tim.
has a flat white label. I don't have one here.
Yeah, the Kings County.
That's
That's
the New
the
York
one
one.
that's the one that Randy's invested in.
Jeff, remember I told you I stopped at me and Sherry stopped there last year at King's Family, and I talked with all of them there, and none of the owners happened to be there that day. And they got
That's
our
one of my
card. They
Kings
got our
County
card,
labels.
There you go. That's what I was talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Typed out on a typewriter.
Yep. I've got one of these. It's like 155 proof. This one's not. This is just their 90 proof.
Walter was telling me today that he's got a bunch of ryes coming out. And he's going to do a series, and they're all over 140 proof. He wants
That
to
sounds
help
amazing.
me
I tried
promote
one
that.
of his. I think I tried one of his at the Nulu when I was there a couple weeks ago, and it was very good.
What was the proof?
I don't recall. I think 142 maybe, but I don't know. I'd have to look and see.
What do you got there, Tim?
Okay, you ready for another little anecdotal story?
Go.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
First of all, everybody's familiar with larceny.
I was like, what is that brand?
Well, Heaven Hill produces this. Okay, so you may wonder why they even have the bottle of Heaven Hill produces. Well, actually, it's a pretty cool story too, because larceny is theft, and that goes back to the story about the guy who
Yep.
allegedly broke into the warehouse and was taking
Fitzgerald.
bourbon out unauthorized. But Heaven Hill, from time to time, like a lot of companies, they will send out a little promo on social media where they will personalize labels. So you can just respond to their social media post saying, "This is my name. Send me your label." There's no charge, but it's just a marketing thing, right? So after they declined to promote J.W. Dan's 200th birthday in 2020, I responded to their post, and if you look close enough,
Look at
and
that.
submitted a label and actually wrote down J.W. Dan's name, 1820 to 2020, 200th anniversary. I just wanted to see if Heaven Hill would pay attention because my name was on the request.
Yeah.
They sent this label to me, and I slapped it on an empty bottle of larceny just to prove that J.W. Dan's 200th anniversary was recognized by Heaven Hill.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's
That is so cool.
that's a great move, man.
Yep. So
What-
there it
yeah,
is.
That is so cool.
Have you always been mischievous?
I mean, I don't know if it's mischievous. It's just telling a story.
It just, yeah.
That's
it's
what
just-
bourbon is about. It's telling
He's more-
stories.
he's
Getting it out there.
More
Now,
like
whether the stories were
detective.
true or
It's
not,
more like investigative.
I was going
Yeah,
to
I
say, I
guess-
don't think all 155 of his cousins are that investigative, if
No,
you
they're
will.
not. There's nobody else handing out family trees to random podcasters.
Isn't that cool?
That was cool.
Well, Royce
That tells you what it means to him,
Listen,
man. That's cool.
So you're,
but-
Tim,
Tim,
you
this is
live
gonna be
in
my
Louisville
reward
now?
for moving.
yeah, I grew up in Louisville, but then in 1981, I joined Hyatt Hotels. I went to Western Kentucky University, so I'm a Hilltopper. And actually, I majored in communications. I used to work at the campus radio station, call letters WKYU. And I wanted to get into sports announcing, but I was doing that part time, and it just never materialized in anything full time. So I went and applied at the Hyatt Regency Louisville. You guys have probably seen the hotel in downtown Louisville with a big
Wait,
open
wait,
atrium,
wait,
18
wait.
stories.
Tim,
Yes.
Randy, where are we booked on
Are
Saturday
you?
night?
I
Are
think
you?
we're booked at the Hyatt Regency downtown Louisville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
When
we're
you're coming in for the dinner you talked about on May 9th?
well,
Yes.
no. So the
The
next,
10th.
so we're staying the 9th at Old Homestead, but the 10th, the Saturday night, we're staying at the Hyatt.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So you
Well,
got
somebody
any,
wanted to stay
so-
at the Brown,
so if you
but
have
I pulled
any,
for the Hyatt.
yeah, if you have any, well, of course, why would we not want to stay at the Brown? We're gonna
For
drink
the
at the
whiskey
Brown
money.
and stay at the Hyatt.
How classic is that though?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I started my
Oh,
Hyatt
cool.
career. And then I moved 9 times in 35 years. It was a great career. But then every time I would go, and Wally knows this because he would come and visit and keep in touch as a cousin, I would go in and immediately meet with my food and beverage director and make sure that we had J.W. Dan bourbon at our bars and our public areas in the lobbies of those Hyatts.
Oh, wow.
And then I would put a bottle in VIP rooms and so forth because it was a talking point.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it my whole career, actually, grade school, high school. It just because it's in my blood.
Got any?
We will be
connections
looking
left
for it at the bar.
at the bar at the Hyatt in Louisville. You got any
Yes.
connections left?
I can relate, Tim. I'm about to move for my 8th time in 15 years.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, except
Well-
one person was in the hospitality and the other one's in the military.
And there's a
Hospitality
20-year
folks move around a
differential.
lot.
Well, here's an acronym for you if you're a fan of acronyms. HYATT, of course, is how you spell Hyatt. You know what it stands for?
No.
Have your ass there tomorrow.
That's
It was
that
it was the nature of the hotel
definitely
business.
That is definitely an
Military all the way.
employee made up word
Yep.
phrase.
What
Yeah,
do
no,
you
I had a
think
great
acronyms
time in
are,
Columbus.
Tony?
I met my wife at a brand new hotel in 1984 in downtown Columbus, next to the state capitol, the Hyatt on Capitol Square. Then I managed the Hyatt Regency Columbus right across from the Nationwide Arena.
It's well to manage. I
cool.
mean, honestly, moving from Wisconsin to Ohio, the people in Ohio overall are different than the rest of the country in their friendliness. There's no doubt that when you're in Ohio, you notice the difference of how personable people are in Ohio. I mean, that's something that I picked up almost right away. I drive back to
Cleveland very
Wisconsin.
often.
Now, Cleveland is more like that's a big city that doesn't count.
I was gonna say,
Because seriously,
no.
but I drive back to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'll be driving and I will get the finger within the first 15, 20 minutes from somebody. And I'll drive 2 years in Ohio and not get the finger unless I go to Cleveland.
So you come to Illinois,
gonna
Jeff,
say.
you come through here, you're going to get like 50
Oh
fingers.
yeah, that's just whatever. You just
I mean-
don't, yeah, that you got they definitely earned the fib.
Yeah, 100%, man.
See, in Tennessee,
Wow.
we don't do that. You don't get the finger. If you get anything, it'll be the shotgun.
Right.
Double barrel. But douche.
Yeah, but Randy, you live in Florida. In Florida, they're pretty friendly too.
Spent
because-
34 years in Tennessee. I've been in Florida 3.
This just depends on the conversation. He was born in Arkansas, lived the most in Tennessee, spent a lot of time formatively in Georgia, and now lives in Florida.
Well, now
But
I know
you
why
claim all of the
sometimes
above.
he's a little edgy
No
because
judgment.
he's been having to drink all that Tennessee whiskey.
Hey, go back to Georgia.
Chris
Where
Stapleton
were
would
you,
be
were you in
proud.
Atlanta by any chance?
I spent a lot of time in Atlanta doing studying, but I went to junior high at Fort Benning, and I'm finishing a doctorate in public health right now in Statesboro.
Okay.
But
Because Atlanta,
I used to go to Atlanta for dental conferences all the time.
so in downtown Atlanta, you're probably familiar with the Hyatt Regency Atlanta
Oh, sure.
on
And the
Peachtree.
Omni and all of
The
them.
Omni,
Well, that
I stayed at
that
the Omni
opened
when I was a
in
kid.
1967. That hotel opened. It was the first atrium hotel built in the United States. John
Okay.
Portman was the architect.
Wow.
And of course, now they're a dime a dozen, but that really was an anchor for the downtown Atlanta in 1967 and really put Hyatt on the map as well
Yeah.
because it was such unique architecture.
So the
Yeah.
architecture transferred to Milwaukee because I remember the Omni had that same architecture that was in the Hyatt in Milwaukee with the elevator going up and the whole setup was I remember staying in both places and realizing that that architecture was throughout the country.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy,
Yes, sir.
I took basic training at Fort Benning.
Well, then you've been on Sand Hill with me before.
Yep. No, I was across from Sand Hill.
Oh,
We called y'all Sand Hilton.
Okay.
I was over across from that.
Church. What? I forget.
Churchill.
Yeah, Churchill.
Actually, Randy, I stayed at the Hyatt last year too because I remember that Hyatt in Louisville has the same elevator, kind of the glass elevator going up. So I
Right.
stayed there. I forget when, but I did stay there a stay. So staying there again looks like they have a really nice lobby bar.
Yes, they do.
I think it.
But the selling point was saving the whiskey money.
What?
And I have another
Tim?
acronym for you. So when I went through training to be a commander, they gave me another acronym. It has a common meaning, and it's CYA. Can you guess what the meaning for the military was? Call your
Can use
attorney.
something.
Call
yeah,
your
yeah.
attorney. That's the one we used.
There you go.
Yep.
My first call, if I have a problem in the dental office, my first call is to 911. The second one's to the attorney.
Actually, if I remember, there's a Hyatt in Covington, right? Am I right, Tim?
Covington, Kentucky.
Yeah.
We have one in downtown Cincinnati, not far from the river. Covington, there could be. Now we have different brands now. They're smaller select service type hotels called Hyatt Place, Hyatt House. They're not your traditional full service large hotels.
Although this one
But-
had the elevator, and I was able to walk to, if I'm not mistaken, Revival from there. I walked up.
Really,
Not
not familiar with it.
Okay.
Well, I was looking it up and it just disappeared. But I think it's there.
Yeah, it's right on the river.
Tim, one of the first jobs I had, and I actually worked for this company twice, or for a guy named Bill Marriott.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I worked in their restaurant division to start with, and then I worked in their. They actually had a retirement center division for a while, and I was the first dentist in the first retirement center they ever had. Right out, it was for military officers. It was right outside of Fort Belvoir, Virginia,
Wow. and
that was an interesting. Learned a lot about customer service working with those guys.
Yeah, yeah. But thanks for your service, by the way. You too, Nash, and all you guys. Appreciate you guys serving. I never served in the military, but my dad, again, I told you, he was one of 7 brothers that were World War II Korea. He was a gunnery sergeant in the Marine Corps for 20 years. He passed away back in 1980. I'm sorry, not 2016. But yeah, it's one of the things that resonate with me is how I could ever get back to the military. So when I was in Dallas,